Chapter 49. Yes. Hu Guang replied. It was not only to heal their injuries, but also to stabilize their morale. Hu Guang instantly understood. Yang Chuan stood up and led Liu Jin toward the crowd again. Everyone, let's talk in my humble abode, Yang Chuan said to Mo Yushi and the others. Okay. Mo Yushi nodded. Mr. Munro looked at Yang Chuan with shame. Child Yang was disdainful, while Ding Wugu was resentful. Little crane, have fun by yourself. Come find me later, Mo Yushi said to the crane. Screech. The crane nodded, flapped its wings, and soared into the sky. The crowd followed Yang Chuan into the bamboo forest and soon arrived at a bamboo house. The bamboo house was surrounded by white fog again. The array that Qing Long had broken was slowly restored. In the bamboo house, Yang Chuan sat in the main seat. Mr. Munro, Child Yang, Ding Wugu, and Mo Yushi were seated. Mo Yushi's 4 subordinates stood behind Mo Yushi. A group of servants quickly served tea. Everyone, please, Yang Chuan said politely. The crowd nodded. Child Yang took a sip. Fat. What kind of lousy tea is this? Child Yang spat out the tea. Fat. Yeah, what the hell is this? It's worse than the water I used to wash my feet. Ding Wugu spat out the tea and cursed. Yang Chuan glanced at the two of them. His expression did not change. He did not reply. Liu Jin stood beside Yang Chuan. Her expression was terrible. Mo Yushi raised her eyebrows slightly but did not say anything. Only Mr. Munro said apologetically, "This is Yang Jigu, the son of Mohina Jin." The one who had a misunderstanding earlier was Ding Wugu, a geomancer, the son of a Dao lord. Yang Chuan's expression changed slightly, and then he nodded gently. Yang Jigu looked down at Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan looked at Mr. Munro and said, "You didn't come here just for my calligraphy, did you? What is your purpose? Please tell me." If people respect Yang Chuan 1 foot, Yang Chuan will respect him 10 feet. Yang Chuan was still polite to Mr. Munro. Before that, I'd like to ask if you've set up a feng shui formation around this forest. Mr. Munro asked curiously. That's right. It's just a simple feng shui formation. It's not very powerful. Yang Chuan did not refute. Impossible. This can't be a feng shui formation. Why can't I feel the source of feng shui? Ding Wugu shouted in disbelief. Yang Chuan looked at Ding Wugu and ignored him. Can you explain to me? Mr. Munro asked curiously. Yang Chuan nodded and said, this formation is a hidden formation. The source of feng shui is deep underground, not outside. Only a real geomancer can sense it. Kid, what are you saying? Are you saying that I'm a fake geomancer? Ding Wugu shouted angrily. Yang Chuan smiled faintly and ignored him. Kid, explain it to me, Ding Wugu said angrily. Ding Wugu. Mo Yushi said impatiently. Ding Wugu was helpless. He could only stare at Yang Chuan. Here's the thing. We want to enter the large feng shui formation in the south. But these days, we can't fly in. So, we want to go in by foot. So, I hope that we can find a guide nearby. The saint said that you know a little about feng shui. That's great. So, please lead the way, Mr. Munro said. Chapter 50. Lead the way. Into the large feng shui formation in the south? Yang Chuan narrowed his eyes. What? You don't want to? Yang Jigu said coldly. Yang Chuan fell silent, his fingers stroking the armrest of his chair. You should be familiar with feng shui since you can recognize the dragon vein. As long as you lead us in, I'll give you whatever you want, Mo Yushi said. Looking at the crowd, Yang Chuan took a deep breath and nodded his head. Sure, Lord. Liu Jin exclaimed. The Forbidden Forest was a land of death. How could they go in? There's no need to say anything. I have my own plans. Yang Chuan shook his head. Yes. Liu Jin said with an ugly expression. I think we're not the only ones entering the large feng shui formation, Yang Chuan said. That's right. On the 9th day of the 9th month, the 9 stars align and a large amount of energy from the netherworld rushes into the mortal realm. The feng shui formation connects the 2 realms, and this place is the first to bear the brunt of the energy. Since no one is controlling the feng shui formation, it's bound to be shattered. Many sects have come here. Everyone wants to get what's inside. Mo Yushi nodded. Oh, what's inside? Yang Chuan was puzzled. Kid, it's not something you can get your hands on. Just lead the way, Yang Jigu said disdainfully. Yang Chuan smiled. I can lead the way for you, but I have a condition. Oh. Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan with a smile. I want to lead the army in. Along the way, other than the ones you want to eat, any beast or monster you encounter will be eaten by my people. Yang Chuan said solemnly. You'll be eaten to death, Yang Jigu said disdainfully. Low-level demonic beasts are useless to us. You can have them. Mo Yushi smiled. Everyone, please rest for the night. I'll go check on my subordinates' injuries. We'll set off tomorrow morning. Is that all right? Yang Chuan asked. Yes. Everyone nodded. Liu Jin, arrange a bamboo house for everyone, Yang Chuan said. Yes. Liu Jin replied. After arranging the bamboo house, Liu Jin followed Yang Chuan back to the barracks. Immortal bringing thousands of mortals with him? He's crazy, Yang Jigu said disdainfully. It's good to bring more people. The feng shui formation is abnormally dangerous. These thousands of people can be used to scout the way to their death, Ding Wugu said with a cold look in his eyes. That's true. It won't be a pity if these mortals die anyway, Yang Jigu laughed. Mr. Munro, what do you think of this Yang Chuan? Mo Yushi's eyes flashed. He's neither humble nor arrogant. He's extraordinary. Mr. Munro nodded. Then, do you think he's qualified to be my attendant? Mo Yushi smiled. Him? Yang Jigu said disdainfully. Mr. Munro frowned and said, the saint's attendant can only be loyal to the saint for the rest of his life. But from what I see, although this person looks calm on the surface, he's arrogant. It's hard for him to be willing to be under someone for a long time. I like people with arrogance. I want to see how capable he is. If it's really what I think it is, I don't mind putting in more effort. My men must be dragons among men, Mo Yushi said confidently. Yushi, you're wrong. He's just a mortal. He's only in the strength state. Yang Jigu immediately objected. Ding Wugu looked at Yang Chuan's back from afar. His eyes were filled with jealousy and resentment. Mr. Munro smiled bitterly. Although he admired Yang Chuan's father, it was not appropriate for him to say anything at this moment. At the military camp, the soldiers were resting and healing their wounds. They were protecting the 5 poisoned young generals in the center. Out of the 5 young generals, 3 of them woke up. The black chi on their faces was slowly fading away. The pupils of the other 2 were getting bigger and bigger, until there was no more sound. Nyo, Da Xuanzi. The soldiers cried out in grief. Lord. Hu Guang rubbed his red eyes. He gritted his teeth and looked at Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan looked at the 2 dead young generals. His face was cold and his eyes were filled with hostility. Lord, Nyo and Da Xuanzi died in vain. That murderer, that murderer. Hu Guang clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. If they died on the battlefield, Hu Guang would not be so emotional. That was the duty of a soldier, but now, they died for no reason. The murderer was here, but he could not take revenge. How could the soldiers not be angry and resentful? Give them a proper burial, Yang Chuan ordered coldly. Yes, the soldiers said with red eyes. This is not over. There will be plenty of time. Yang Chuan's eyes turned cold. A trace of killing intent shot out from his eyes. Hu Guang quivered. He looked at Yang Chuan gratefully and said, yes. The soldiers did not say anything more. Yang Chuan's killing intent had said everything. Chapter 51. Evening. Yang Chuan was still in the barracks. A large number of guards stood outside the commander-in-chief's tent. Inside, Yang Chuan looked at Hu Guang and Liu Jin. Tomorrow morning, we will depart for the large feng shui formation. There are countless illusions in the feng shui formation. The higher your cultivation, the further you can go. Most of the time, it depends on your temperament. I will teach you a set of hand seals. Tonight, you must ensure that everyone learns it. Yang Chuan said seriously. Hand seals? Hua Guang and Liu Jin's eyes lit up. Yes. Hua Guang said excitedly. This set of hand seals is called a Kalanatha hand seal. There are a total of 14 hand seals. It can be used to achieve calmness amidst confusion and be as immovable as a mountain, Yang Chuan explained. Yes. The 14 hand seals are Solitary Cobalt hand seal, Treasure Mountain hand seal, Head seal, Eye seal, Mouth seal, Heart seal, Armor seal, Shizzy Swift hand seal, Flame seal, Flaming Wheel seal, Shong Luo seal, Sword seal, Suo seal, and Tri-Cobalt diamond seal. Yang Chuan used both hands to create the 14 hand seals for Hua Guang to learn. The 14 hand seals were easy to learn. In less than an hour, Hua Guang had memorized all of them. Lord, this a Kalanatha hand seal, why does it look like? Hua Guang said with a frown. What? Yang Chuan was puzzled. Is it useful to just make a gesture like this? Hua Guang asked the question in his heart. Hua Guang was disappointed. He thought it was some powerful magic, but after half a day, all he could do was make strange gestures. Haha, it's normal that you can't see through it. This hand seal is a rare hand seal in the cultivation world. Those with supernatural powers can use this seal to move mountains and rivers and kill demons. You're only in the strength state now, so of course you can't use its power. However, it's still easy to use it to guard your soul and not move your body. Moreover, it will definitely be of great use in the feng shui array. Yang Chuan said solemnly. Yes. Hua Guang replied with a solemn expression. There's also a 10-word incantation. Remember it well, Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. Southern Samando Ba Jaluo Da Valiant. Yang Chuan recited. Nan Mo San Man Duo Ba Jaluo Da Valiant. That's right. You have one night. You want the entire army to learn it. Don't practice along the way. Do your best to keep it a secret, Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. This subordinate will definitely let the entire army learn, Hua Guang said solemnly. Lord. A voice came from outside the tent. What's the matter? Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. The people from the celestial sect request an audience. Oh. Yang Chuan was slightly surprised as he walked out. Outside the tent was Mo Yushi's subordinate in black. Qing Long was slightly muscular. He looked extremely capable. Young Master Yang, the Holy Maiden has asked me to give you this as a form of compensation, Azure Dragon said as he handed over a small jade bottle. Hua Guang and the surrounding soldiers looked at Qing Long with an unfriendly expression. However, Yang Chuan was able to keep his composure. He reached out and took the bottle. Without looking at it, he said to Qing Long, "Then I thank your saint." Millimeter. Qing Long nodded and left. Lord, we don't need their hypocrisy, Hua Guang said hatefully. Looking at Hua Guang, Yang Chuan smiled with satisfaction. Yang Chuan admired Hua Guang's pride. The grudge is in my heart. I won't forget it. Moreover, I haven't taken my revenge yet. Yang Chuan comforted him. Yes. Hua Guang could only nod. He opened the small jade bottle. There was a green pill inside. Essence boosting pill? Yang Chuan narrowed his eyes. Lord, what's an essence boosting pill? Liu Jin asked curiously. Chapter 52. Once a person consumes the strength state, they can reach the essence state. Although it's only suitable for mortals in the strength state, it's more valuable than many high-grade pills, Yang Chuan said. Ah! Consumes the strength state and can reach the essence state? Liu Jin said in surprise. Hua Guang's eyes lit up as he looked at the pill. Keep it. This pill is no small matter. I didn't expect Mo Yushi to be so generous. Everything is valuable, so there must be something she wants. Looks like we have to be more careful from now on, Yang Chuan said. Yes. Everyone replied. Screech. The crane let out a long cry and carried Mo Yushi into the sky. It flew towards a white cloud not far away. On the white cloud was a white boat. The crane landed on the boat. Mo Yushi also jumped onto the boat. On the boat, Qing Long and the other 3 subordinates stood respectfully. Mr. Munro, Yang Jigu, and Ding Wugu looked down. Below them was a forest. A group of silver armor guards was patrolling the forest. A large palanquin carried Yang Chuan forward slowly. This guy really knows how to enjoy life. He needs a palanquin to carry him as a guide. Yang Jigu looked at Yang Chuan, who was enjoying himself. That's right. He thinks so highly of himself. Ding Wugu looked down coldly. Mr. Munro didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at Mo Yushi and said, "Holy Maiden, did you see it clearly this time?" "That's right. I've been walking around for the past few days. This is a circular feng shui formation. Also, there's an entrance in front." Mo Yushi nodded. "Then let's go through this entrance." "We can't go through the entrance in the southwest. We almost didn't make it out last time. Luckily, Yushi helped us," Yang Jigu said immediately. The silver armor guards have stopped." Mr. Munro's expression changed. "Let's go down," Mo Yushi said. "Yes." Everyone nodded. "Little Crane, go catch 2 demonic beasts for them," Mo Yushi said to the Immortal Crane. Screech. The red-crowned crane flapped its wings and flew away. "What's the point of catching demonic beasts for them?" Ding Wugu said unhappily. "We're about to enter the array. These people are all sent to their deaths." "Ding Wugu, what are you worried about?" Yang Zhizhou laughed. "Let them die with their stomachs full." "That's true, ha ha ha," Ding Wugu said happily. Mo Yushi and Mr. Munro didn't say anything. Yang Jigu has a powerful father, and Ding Wugu knows feng shui. After entering the array, it will be useful. Below them was a huge valley. Yang Chuan walked out of the palanquin. In front of him was a wall of clouds. However, there was a crack in the wall. Looking through the crack, it was extremely dark and gloomy. "Lord, I've checked this area before. There's no crack like this." Hu Guang frowned. "One layer of the array has been broken because of the alignment of 9 stars. We can enter now. You don't have to worry about that. Arrange for the soldiers to eat first," Yang Chuan said. "Yes," Hu Guang replied. "Why did you stop? It's been 3 days. Is this how you act as a guide?" An unpleasant voice was heard. It was Ding Wugu, who had landed in the sky. He looked disgusted. Yang Chuan's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He turned to Mo Yushi and said, "Miss Mo, have you checked the surrounding terrain?" "I flew around. It's a circular array with 8 entrances." Mo Yushi nodded. Chapter 53. "Oh, can you draw it?" Yang Chuan asked solemnly. Mo Yushi drew a circle on the ground with a branch. She pointed at 8 spots in the circle. Yang Chuan stared at the simple diagram and studied it carefully. Screech. A crane let out a long cry in the sky. Bam! Bam! 2 giant snakes fell from the sky. Each of them was 40 feet long. However, there was a large hole in each snake's body. It was dripping with blood. The crane had eaten the snake's heart. The snakes writhed in pain. They did not want to die just like that. Demon beasts. Liu Jin's expression changed. "We're about to enter the array. This is a side dish for you." Mo Yushi smiled. Yang Chuan frowned slightly. He shook his head and said, "We can't enter the array from here." "Can't? What did you say?" Ding Wugu's eyes widened. "We can enter from here. However, with our cultivation, we'll be sending ourselves to our death." Yang Chuan shook his head. "You're not going to leave now? Do you think it's that easy?" Ding Wugu said disdainfully. Mo Yushi and the others frowned. Yang Chuan smiled coldly and said, "Aren't you a feng shui master? Can't you see the outer array? Can't you see the 8 entrances?" "I'm not a feng shui master. I've studied feng shui for 50 years. Can't I compare to a brat like you? My body is pure yin. It's the best body for distinguishing feng shui. I can sense things that you can't. What right do you have to criticize me? What kind of body is that? How can it compare to mine?" Ding Wugu said hatefully. "Chmph. Last time, Miss Mo left in a hurry to save you, right? Which entrance did she enter?" Yang Chuan looked at Mo Yushi. This one. Mo Yushi pointed at one of the entrances. Qian position? I guessed so too. Did we encounter a horse demon that was as hot as the sun inside? The horseman stepped on the yellow springs and destroyed heaven and earth. Yang Chuan said calmly. Horse demon? Yang Jigu's expression changed. Ding Wugu's eyebrows twitched as he stared at Yang Chuan in bewilderment. Mr. Yang, it seems that your subordinates died under the hooves of the horses, right? Mr. Munro asked curiously. Yang Jigu nodded with a gloomy face. Oh, Prince Yang, you recognize this formation? Mo Yushi's eyes lit up. Yang Chuan looked at Ding Wugu and said with a faint smile, this is the most basic of feng shui arrays. Anyone who is involved in feng shui arrays should have heard of it. Ding Wujiu snorted. Oh, what is this? Mr. Munro asked curiously. This outer formation is called 8 Fiends Yellow Springs, Yang Chuan said solemnly. 8 Evils Underworld. I've heard of it before. The Khan Dragon and the Kuan Rabbit shake the mountain monkeys, the Zun Chicken and the Qian Horse fight the head of the snake, the Gen Tiger leaves the pig and becomes the Fiend Star. If you are not prepared, you will die. Mr. Munro's eyes lit up. So Mr. Munro knows feng shui too. Yang Chuan smiled. How would I know? Cultivating feng shui focuses on one's physique and rebirth. If you do not have a specific physique, you will not be able to comprehend it no matter how many books you have. I've only read about it in the past. This is the first time I've seen it. Mr. Munro smiled. 8 Evils Underworld, it's the 8 Evils Underworld. Ding Wugu's face was gloomy as he looked at Yang Chuan with hatred. Are we really not allowed to enter this place? Yang Jigu asked with a frown. Mr. Munro looked at Yang Jigu and nodded. According to the positioning of the 8 Evils Underworld, it is indeed extremely dangerous to enter from here. This is the Khan position, where there is the Yellow Springs Dragon Demon. The Yellow Springs Horse Demon you encountered last time was already dangerous enough. What do you think if you encounter the Yellow Springs Dragon Demon? Yang Jigu was speechless. If they encountered a horse, they almost got themselves killed. If they encountered a dragon, they would, then we'll have to take a big detour. Mo Yushi frowned. For safety's sake, we have to take a detour. Take the Kuan position. Rabbits are much more docile after all. The Yellow Springs Rabbit Demon should not be so domineering, Yang Chuan said with certainty. 8 Evils Underworld. Okay. I'll listen to you. Mo Yushi finally decided. Chapter 54. Outer Formation, 8 Banes Yellow Springs. After Mr. Munro confirmed it, Ding Wugu stopped talking. After confirming the route, Yang Chuan no longer paid attention to the crowd. Instead, he helped the silver-armored army to take care of the 2 demonic snakes that were about to die. Although Yang Chuan did not do anything, his experience was more important than anything else. With just a few pointers, the demonic snakes were completely dead. Not too far away, Mo Yushi took out a folding fan and gently fanned it. Looking at Yang Chuan in the distance, her eyes gradually narrowed, and at the same time, grew brighter and brighter. This was because Mo Yushi felt that although Yang Chuan did not have Ding Wugu's physique, his understanding of feng shui was not inferior to Ding Wugu's. Mr. Munro, it seems like I was right. Mo Yushi laughed. Saintus, you've always had a good eye. But let's wait until we get the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus. Mr. Munro smiled bitterly. All right, I'm looking forward to meeting this Yang Chuan. Mo Yushi nodded. Little Crane, catch 2 demonic beasts for them every day, Mo Yushi said to the immortal crane beside her. Screech. The red-crowned crane flapped its wings in response. From the side, Ding Wujiu glared at Yang Chuan in the distance with resentment. Yang Jigu frowned as he looked at Mo Yushi. At the same time, he glared at Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan did not hide the meat of the demonic beasts. All the soldiers had a mouthful of demonic beast soup to drink, but the amount was limited after all. Only 200 soldiers were the first to eat. After eating the meat of the demonic beasts, the cultivation of the low-level soldiers naturally improved by leaps and bounds. With the demon snake's blood, they could attract a large number of wild beasts like before. Therefore, the soldiers never stopped eating meat. Another 10 days passed. Ha! Hu Guang gave a loud shout, as the long spear in his hand struck a huge boulder. Boom! The boulder exploded. Lord, your subordinate has reached LV8 of the power realm, Hu Guang said excitedly. Millimeter. Yang Chuan nodded with satisfaction. During these 10 days, there were people who made breakthroughs one after another. Among the 3,000 soldiers, more than 100 of them were at LV5 of the power realm. And it was still increasing every day. At the peak of a mountain not far away, Yang Jigu stood with his hands behind his back, looking down at the silver-armored army. Ding Wugu stood at the side. 8th level of the power realm? A bunch of country bumpkins, Yang Jigu said disdainfully. Strength state? Yang Jigu really didn't care about this level of cultivation. That's right. They're just a bunch of trash. Ding Wugu also said resentfully. Ding Wugu. Yang Jigu suddenly said solemnly. Yang Jigu looked at the barracks in the distance and said in a deep voice, Ding Wugu, you must get the thing inside the feng shui formation for me. Don't worry, young Master Yang. That Million Wonders lotus will be ours. Who can take it from us? Mohina Jin ordered me to do it himself, Ding Wugu said immediately. No. You don't understand what I mean. Yang Jigu shook his head. Oh. What I mean is, let me get it, just me, not Saintess Yu Shi. Yang Jigu said in a deep voice. Her. Mo Yu, she wants to get the Million Wonders lotus to return a favor to my father. I can't let her return it. I want her to owe me, forever, Yang Jigu said with a cold smile. A favor? Ding Wugu was stunned. Don't worry about that. We're outside the formation, so let Yang Chuan do whatever he wants. Once we're inside, we'll need someone like you who has a feng shui constitution. So, once we're inside, do your best to help me get the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. If you succeed, I'll ask my father to let you in, Yang Jigu promised. Chapter 55. Ding Wugu's eyes lit up. Yes, Mr. Yang, I will do my best. They circled around for another month. The army finally arrived at the Kuan position of the feng shui array, which was southwest of the array. On a boat in the clouds. After wasting so much time, you mortals are all trash. Yang Zhijio scolded Yang Chuan's army. The sooner we enter the array, the better. Mr. Munro shook his head and smiled. All right, we're here. Let's go in, Yang Jigu said. There's an army over there. Mo Yu, she was taken aback. Everyone looked over. Not far from Yang Chuan's army, there were 2,000 soldiers of the Green Scarf Army. Yang Chuan, Hu Guang, and Liu Jin were facing off against the enemy's generals. Below, to Yang Chuan's left was the same huge sea of clouds, but there was also a 50-meter wide black gap. In front of Yang Chuan, there were 7 generals. The one in the lead was very burly. There was a 3-inch long scar on the left side of his face that looked like a centipede. Lord, that's Zhao Kunwu from the Zhao family. Zhao Tianda's 16th uncle, Liu Jin whispered. Zhao Kunwu glared at Yang Chuan. His eyes were cold. Because not long ago, Zhao Tianda was ordered by him to collude with the great Shang state's consecrator to assassinate Yang Chuan. Since Zhao Tianda is dead, Yang Chuan must be the murderer. Zhao Kunwu? Why don't you bow to me? Yang Chuan said lightly. Bow to you? Do you think a brat like you is worthy of my bow? Bah. Zhao Kunwu said coldly. Ka. The silver armor guards immediately drew their bows. Despising the Lord was a capital offense. At this moment, the silver-armored guards had complete faith in Yang Chuan. As long as he gave the order, they would go through fire and water for him. Kaka. The Green Scarf Army soldiers behind Zhao Kunwu also quickly drew their bows. They were all elite troops, and none of them were afraid. For a moment, the atmosphere was tense. What are you doing? You want to play with me? Zhao Kunwu's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Obviously, Zhao Kunwu was also a fierce general who had killed his way through the battlefield. Facing the rain of thousands of arrows, his expression did not change. The Zhao clan wants a piece of the pie when the feng shui formation changes. The Zhao family must have other people going in through other entrances, right? Yang Chuan said indifferently. So what if I am? Zhao Kunwu glared. Please. Yang Chuan smiled. Huh. Zhao Kunwu was slightly taken aback. It was a coincidence that the two armies met here. Zhao Kunwu originally thought that there would be a big massacre. Who would have thought that Yang Chuan would admit defeat in the blink of an eye? Ha 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 ha. When I come out, I'll find you to teach me a lesson. Let's go. Zhao Kunwu laughed proudly. The difference in numbers was not big, but Zhao Kunwu still had a mission. Although he wanted to kill Yang Chuan, he knew that he would have to pay a huge price to do so. Even with Hue Guang's protection, he might not succeed. Since Yang Chuan had admitted defeat, Zhao Kunwu was naturally in a good mood. Wasn't the Emperor of the Emperor's equal admitting defeat the same as Yang Emperor admitting defeat? Zhao Kunwu liked this feeling. Kill Yang Chuan? It wouldn't be too late to kill him after he came out. Zhao Kunwu led the Green Scarf army into the entrance of the Feng Shui formation. Lord, Hue Guang said unwillingly. Don't worry. He'll be dead in less than 4 hours. Yang Chuan said coldly. Huh? Yes. Hue Guang said in surprise. Peng. Peng. Mo Yushi and the others landed on the ground. Okay, time to go in, Yang Zhigu said. Let's go. Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan. Chapter 56. Yang Chuan nodded and turned to look at the crane. You've been catching monsters every day for the past few days. I think it's better if you don't enter this Feng Shui formation, Yang Chuan said sincerely. Screech. The crane was displeased. A Feng Shui formation draws in qi from the earth and connects yin and yang. Birds can't fly inside and are even restricted. You won't be able to fly inside and will only be walking on the ground. You'll be at a disadvantage. Why don't you patrol the perimeter? When the formation is broken, you can fly in as a surprise attack. Yang Chuan advised again. Screech, screech. The crane was still unwilling. Prince Yang is right. I don't know much about Feng Shui, but I've read about it in some books. Birds can't enter a Feng Shui formation. Mr. Munro nodded. Screech. The crane was still unwilling. All right, little crane. Prince Yang is doing this for your own good. Just guard outside and wait for me when the formation is broken, Mo Yushi finally said. Screech. The crane rubbed against Mo Yushi, feeling wronged. However, Mo Yushi was unmoved. Screech. The angry crane flapped its wings and soared into the sky, flying away. Mo Yushi smiled bitterly, shook her head, and ignored it. Mo Yushi knew that the crane was just throwing a tantrum. Let's go. Mo Yushi turned around and said. Millimeter. Yang Chuan nodded. The army slowly walked into the Feng Shui formation. At this moment, Yang Chuan did not sit in the sedan chair anymore. He slowly walked into the formation under the protection of a group of soldiers. The interior was dark like a tunnel. As they walked, a bright light suddenly appeared in front of them. They quickly walked through the tunnel. When they stepped out of the tunnel, the scenery in front of them suddenly changed. At first glance, it looked like a vast grassland with countless white clouds floating in the sky. On the grassland, plump white rabbits were eating the plump green grass. Some of the white rabbits had found carrots from somewhere and were happily nibbling on them. The sudden intrusion of 3,000 people startled the nearby white rabbits and they quickly ran away. Not long after they ran away, they foolishly forgot everything and continued to nibble on the grass and carrots. Lord, Zhao Kunwu and the others are over there. In the distance, Zhao Kunwu's army headed northwest. The marching speed was very fast because in the northwest direction, there seemed to be a yellow pillar that connected the sky to the earth. It was the only strange sight on the grassland. Ding Wugu, what pillar is that? Yang Zhigu asked. My constitution can sense it. That's the entrance to the inner array, Ding Wugu said proudly. Let's go. Don't let those ants take the lead, Yang Zhigu said excitedly. Young Master Yang, have you forgotten about the Akron horse fiend? Mr. Munro frowned. Hey! Yang Zhigu raised his eyebrows and immediately calmed down. Prince Yang, do you recognize this array? Mo Yushi asked. Everyone looked over. I've heard of it. Only when the Acheron spring opens can we break into the inner array from that pillar. Yang Chuan did not hide anything. The Acheron spring opens? Mo Yushi was puzzled. When all the white clouds in the sky are dyed yellow by the Acheron spring, that's when the entrance opens. At the same time, it's also the most dangerous time. It happens once a day, Yang Chuan said. I remember now. That day, when we entered the other entrance, the Acheron horsefiend appeared. It was when the yellow clouds were dense. Young Jigu's eyes lit up. There's still some time. Everyone, wait patiently, Yang Chuan said to everyone. Turning around, Yang Chuan looked at Hu Guang and said, now, kill the rabbits and take their blood. Hey! Yes. Hu Guang did not understand, but he quickly carried out the order. Nearly 3,000 soldiers immediately obeyed the order. They drew their bows and began to kill the white rabbits around them. Kill rabbits. Ding Wugu looked extremely disdainful. Let's go and take a look at that pillar, Yang Jigu shouted. Millimeter. Mo Yushi and the others nodded. In the blink of an eye, Mo Yushi, Mr. Munro, and the others left Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan ignored them. Instead, he ordered the soldiers to kill as many rabbits as possible. Chapter 57. Xiu. The silver-armored army's archers were all sharpshooters. Their arrows flashed and killed the white rabbits one by one. The dead rabbits quickly gathered. Hu Guang ordered the soldiers to quickly collect the rabbit blood. Soon, a bucket of rabbit blood was placed in front of Yang Chuan. Lord, what is the use of this rabbit blood? Hu Guang asked curiously. Yang Chuan scooped up a bowl and poured it on himself. Hua! Yang Chuan's chest was immediately dyed red by the rabbit blood. Lord! Liu Jin exclaimed. There are still 4 hours before dusk in the outside world. In these 4 hours, all soldiers, apply the rabbit blood on your armor. Quick! Yang Chuan said in a low voice. Hu Guang's eyes were filled with doubts. He did not understand what Yang Chuan was doing, but he immediately carried out the order. Yes, everyone, smear yourselves with rabbit blood, Hu Guang ordered. Ah! The officers and soldiers were puzzled. But when they turned their heads and saw that Yang Chuan was applying the rabbit blood, they immediately obeyed. A grandiose operation to kill rabbits began. Even though there were many rabbits, they could not withstand the large-scale slaughter of the 3,000 silver-armored army. Thus, the silver-armored army killed the rabbits as they walked towards the yellow pillar. Along the way, countless rabbits suffered from destructive attacks. In the distance, outside the pillar, Zhao Kunwu led the army to surround the pillar, but the pillar did not have any abnormalities. Zhao Kunwu was filled with doubts. When Mo Yushi and the others arrived, although the Greenscarf army tried to stop them, the Greenscarf army no longer dared to offend Mo Yushi and the others after Azure Dragon threw a reckless little general a kilometer away. Zhao Kunwu quickly restrained the soldiers. These people were definitely from the Immortal sect. If they did not want to die, it was best to stay away. Ding Wugu, where is the entrance? Mo Yushi asked. The entrance is not open yet, but I feel that it should be soon, Ding Wugu said immediately. Mo Yushi frowned and looked around. Yang Chuan said that there will be danger when the yellow springs opens. Mr. Munro, what do you think? Mo Yushi asked Mr. Munro. Mr. Munro laughed. Saintus, you are wrong. Why don't you ask? My guess is not accurate. As soon as Mr. Wenruo said this, everyone immediately turned to look at Yang Chuan, including Ding Wugu's jealous gaze. However, the moment they saw the 3,000 silver-armored soldiers in the distance, their faces froze unconsciously. What are they doing? Yang Zhizhou asked curiously. Are they stupid? Smear the body with rabbit blood? Ding Wugu was also at a loss. In the distance, the original silver-armored army had already changed into the blood-armored army. Their bodies were red. The silver-armored army at the front was shooting a rain of arrows. They quickly killed the rabbits, then grabbed them and smeared their blood all over their bodies. This. Mr. Munro, have you seen this in the records? Mo Yushi was also confused. Mr. Munro shook his head. We caught a rabbit just now, but there was nothing wrong with it. This Yang Chuan, I can't figure it out. Yang Chuan must have a reason for doing this. It's just that he doesn't want to say it. Mo Yu, she said seriously. Ha ha ha, a king on par with the emperor? Are you stupid? These people are crazy. Zhao Kunwu laughed. Ha ha ha. Zhao Kunwu laughed mockingly. His subordinates also laughed. In the distance, Yang Chuan's army was approaching. When all the soldiers were smeared with rabbit blood, the army was already in front of them. Chapter 58. Yang Chuan showed a hint of disdain in the face of everyone's mockery. He ignored them and looked at the pillar that connected heaven and earth. A ray of yellow light suddenly appeared on the pillar. The yellow spring is about to open. Yang Chuan took a deep breath and said, "What?" Hu Guang did not understand. "Get into formation and gather together," Yang Chuan ordered. "Yes. Get into formation," Hu Guang shouted. Boom. The Silver Armor army quickly gathered together. The sudden gathering of Yang Chuan's army attracted everyone's attention. They all looked at the yellow pillar in the center. A ray of yellow light flashed across the yellow pillar. Suddenly, a yellow halo appeared on the white clouds that surrounded the pillar in the sky. The yellow halo flashed, and a few white clouds were dyed yellow. 8 Evils Yellow Spring. Just as Yang Chuan said, the yellow spring is about to open, Mr. Munro said with a serious expression. It's not just the sky. Look at the ground, Qing Long said. Where the yellow clouds covered, traces of yellow liquid suddenly appeared on the ground. As soon as the yellow liquid appeared, the grass was dyed yellow. The yellow clouds in the sky kept increasing. On the ground, the yellow liquid was also rapidly expanding. From the pillar, it continued to expand, growing bigger and bigger. What's going on? Zhao Kunwu's expression changed. Not far from Zhao Kunwu's army, a little white rabbit was happily eating a carrot. At this moment, the yellow liquid on the ground spread to the little white rabbit. The little white rabbit's body shook, and its body grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. The little white rabbit grew bigger and bigger. Slowly, the white rabbit's body reached 10 feet, 20 feet. A 20 feet tall rabbit. Not only that, but the rabbit's body also seemed to have evolved. Its 2 front legs seemed to have become arms. It sat on the ground with its back facing everyone. What's that? How did the rabbit grow bigger? A young soldier exclaimed. The 20 feet tall rabbit had its back facing everyone. The rabbit's body was slightly emitting a thick black evil aura. The rabbit grew bigger. What kind of monster is that? A demon beast? Impossible, it was just an ordinary rabbit just now. Camouflage? Sir, what should we do? The soldiers looked fearfully at the huge rabbit that had suddenly grown to a height of 6 meters. Fear flashed in his eyes. You, go over and take a look, Zhao Kunwu said to a young general. Your Excellency, I'm afraid. The young general said in fear. What are you waiting for? If you don't go, I'll kill you, Zhao Kunwu glared and shouted. Yes. The young general walked forward fearfully. Creak, creak. The big rabbit, whose back was facing everyone, made strange noises. The young general walked forward timidly. The long saber in his hand was also trembling. Not daring to go around to the front, the young general walked closer and stabbed the long saber in his hand at the big rabbit. The knife was about to pierce into the rabbit's body. Who? A white light flashed. The young general immediately left the ground and flew into the air. A large, furry hand grabbed the young general. The big white rabbit turned around at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, it had captured the young general. It held him tightly in its hand. Save me, Your Excellency, save me, the young general cried for help in fear. However, the Green Scarf army seemed to be scared out of their wits. The 2,000 soldiers unconsciously took a step back in fear. What kind of monster is that? A Green Scarf army soldier cried out in fear. Chapter 59. The big white rabbit turned around, but it wasn't a big white rabbit anymore. It had a human-like face, no, a demonic face. 2 lantern-sized scarlet eyes, a face surrounded by black gas, and when the rabbit opened its mouth, it revealed saw-like sharp teeth. Squeak, squeak. The rabbit's squeak was the sound of 2 rows of rabbit teeth rubbing against each other, as if 2 large saws were sawing at each other. It was terrifying. Help! Little General, who was caught in the big rabbit's hand, kept crying out. The big rabbit seemed to be annoyed. It turned its head to look at the young general in its hand. The big rabbit grinned. The young general was sure that this was the scariest smile he had ever seen in his life. The rabbit's smile? It was too scary. But this thought didn't last long. The big rabbit brought the young general to its mouth. No. The young general screamed in horror. Crunch. Like a carrot, the young general was bitten in half by the big rabbit. Blood splattered everywhere. It was extremely bloody. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The big rabbit enjoyed this human-shaped carrot. Its mouth twisted as it chewed on half of the young general's body. Eating people? The soldiers had killed countless people, but they had never seen someone eat a person like a carrot. Some of the soldiers were used to seeing mountains of corpses and seas of blood, but at this moment, their legs went weak and their stomachs churned. Awoo! Squeak, squeak, squeak. The other half of the young general's body was also eaten by the big rabbit. It looked like it was enjoying itself. Netherworld Rabbit Demon? This is the Netherworld Rabbit Demon. Young Jigu's expression was extremely ugly. Is it going to start? Mr. Munro frowned slightly. In the distance, the big rabbit had just eaten a person and was very unsatisfied. It looked at the green scarf army again. Its scarlet eyes flashed with greed. Bang! The big rabbit jumped and was not far away from the green scarf army. No, don't come over, don't come over. Some green scarf army soldiers shouted in horror. Release the arrows, release the arrows. Zhao Kunwu shouted in horror. Swish, swish, swish. A large number of arrows rained down. But now, the rabbit was no longer the ordinary rabbit. It was the Netherworld Rabbit Demon that had been demonized by the yellow liquid. Hundreds of arrows rained down. Bang! All of them were rebounded by the rabbit's fur. Boom! Boom! The rabbit approached again, and with a wave of its hand, a large number of soldiers were flung away. He grabbed a green scarf army soldier with each hand. No, don't eat me. Help! The 2 green scarf army soldiers roared in shock. But how could the rabbit demon listen to Radish at this moment? Crack! Squeak! 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 Crack! Squeak! 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 The sound of chewing radishes could be heard incessantly. The rabbit devils brought about great panic as they continuously gnawed at the green scarf army. Release the arrows, release the arrows. Retreat! Retreat! The green scarf army immediately fell into chaos. Zhao Kunwu quickly retreated with the green scarf army. However, the nightmare had just begun. As the number of yellow clouds in the sky increased, more and more yellow liquid seeped out from the ground. All the rabbits that came into contact with the yellow liquid would experience a huge change in their bodies. In the vast grassland, 1 rabbit demon, 10 rabbit demons, 100 rabbit demons, 1,000 rabbit demons. The number of Yellow Springs rabbit devils kept increasing, and they surrounded everyone with a strong offensive power. No. The green scarf army soldiers looked at the countless rabbit demons in horror. Chapter 60. No. The green scarf army looked at the countless rabbit demons surrounding them in fear. More and more rabbit demons appeared. From all directions, they gathered towards the central pillar and pounced on everyone. All the radishes. Boom. Boom. The rabbit demons used its strength and slapped a large number of soldiers. It grabbed them one by one and bit them. Save me. No. Let me go. The green scarf army lost all their advantages in front of the demons. They panicked and fled in all directions. Many of them were even trampled to death by their brothers in the chaos. Retreat, retreat. Zhao Kunwu roared with red eyes. However, no matter how fast they were, could they be faster than the demons? If not for the fact that there were too many of them and the rabbit demons couldn't speak, these 2,000 soldiers would have already died. Boom. Boom. Roar. Roar. In order to fight for the radishes, the rabbit demons also fought and bit each other. The scene became extremely chaotic. Cries, chewing, rushing, and escaping sounds instantly became very noisy. Not far from Mo Yushi, a rabbit demon roared and pounced. Roar. Qing Long changed positions and blocked in front of Mo Yushi and punched. Boom. The rabbit demon was immediately sent flying and rolled a dozen times on the ground. Roar. Roar. The rabbit demon wasn't killed. It flipped over and got up. However, its fur had turned pink and the evil aura around it was increasing. It looked more and more evil. Roar. With a roar, the rabbit demon pounced again and stomped on the ground, creating a large pit. His body was surrounded by a black aura, as if he was a demon from hell. Qing Long seal. Qing Long shouted. He pinched a hand seal, and a green light emerged from his hand. Then, he shot it toward the devil rabbit with a loud rumble. Boom. The rabbit demon was sent flying again. Its body was covered in wounds, but it was still alive. Its fur was dyed red by its own blood. The black qi was so dense that it was like a fog. Saintus, this monster is getting stronger and stronger, Qing Long said worriedly. The four of you, block the rabbit demon. Mo Yu, she said solemnly. Yes. Qing Long and the other three subordinates obeyed. Ding Wugu, you are a feng shui master. Where is the entrance? Can you feel it? Mo Yu, she stared at Wugu. Wugu's expression turned ugly. I can sense that the entrance is right here in the pillar, but the entrance hasn't appeared yet. I don't know, Ding Wugu panicked. What? There are more and more rabbit devils. Yang Zhijiu said with an ugly expression. Ask him, ask that brat. Ding Wugu immediately shouted. At this moment, the most panicked person was Wugu Yu Wugu. Apart from those mortals, his cultivation was the lowest. If he was not careful, he would die on the spot. Ding Wugu was well aware of how strong the Azure Dragon was. However, even such a powerful Azure Dragon had failed to kill the Devil Rabbit several times. This was not just one, but tens of thousands. At this moment, he even forgot to be jealous of Yang Chuan and immediately looked at Yang Chuan. Not only Wugu Yu Wugu, everyone looked at Yang Chuan. But when they saw Yang Chuan's army, everyone was instantly petrified. This group of demon rabbit, are they crazy? Yang Zhigu said in disbelief. Yang Chuan saw Wugu Yu Wugu's panicked expression in the distance and immediately showed a trace of disdain. Chapter 61. Feng Shui Master? This guy counts as a Feng Shui Master? He's not even fit to carry the shoes of the lowest-ranked Feng Shui Master, Yang Chuan said disdainfully. Even someone like him, who didn't cultivate Feng Shui, knew how to get through the formation, but the Feng Shui Master was panicking. No wonder Yang Chuan was so disdainful. Lord, why aren't these monsters attacking us? Is it because of the rabbit blood on us? Hu Guang was still uncertain. After all, the scene of the Green Scarf Army being eaten alive was too shocking. But these monsters didn't dare to approach. Why? They're demonized white rabbits, not monsters. They don't have the intelligence of monsters, only their instincts. They are vicious, violent, bloodthirsty, and gluttonous. But at the same time, they can sense the smell of blood on us. This isn't ordinary blood, it's their own. Although you can't see it, in the eyes of these rabbit demons, our blood is overwhelming, and it's the blood left behind by the deaths of many of their kind. Therefore, the rabbit demons are instinctively afraid. They don't dare to approach. Yang Chuan explained. I understand. The Lord ordered us to kill rabbits from the beginning. Was it for this moment? Hu Guang said in admiration. Fortunately, the Lord is here. The young generals nearby sighed. So there's no need to be afraid. Yang Chuan shook his head. It's not that simple. These rabbits can't take care of us now, but as time passes, they might not be able to resist and rush over. At this moment, Zhao Kunwu, who was fleeing in the distance, suddenly turned his head and froze. Impossible. Zhao Kunwu roared angrily. It wasn't just Zhao Kunwu. The Green Scarf Army escorting Zhao Kunwu all stared with wide eyes. In the distance, Yang Chuan's 3,000 soldiers stood there quietly. Not a single rabbit demon attacked. Not attack. Why? Seeing more than half of his green scarf army dead, and Yang Chuan's unscathed army in the distance, Zhao Kunwu felt an indescribable resentment. Blood. Is it rabbit blood? Zhao Kunwu suddenly thought. Previously, when Yang Chuan's army kept killing rabbits and smearing their bodies with their blood, Zhao Kunwu had laughed out loud. Only now did he know why. Rabbit blood. It turned out that rabbit blood could scare off this group of monsters. You little bastard. Zhao Kunwu said angrily. Sir, those monsters are chasing us again. Let's go. A young general urged from the side. Monster. Zhao Kunwu quivered. Immediately, Zhao Kunwu withdrew his consciousness and was about to flee. But as soon as he turned his head, nearly 100 demonic rabbits surrounded him from all directions. As for his small group, there were only about 100 people in total. My lord, how do we escape? The young general said in horror. The members of the Green Scarf Army revealed looks of despair. Go to Yang Chuan's place. Quick, go there. Zhao Kunwu shouted anxiously. Yes. Everyone immediately responded. Sir, when the time comes, let's beg Yang Chuan. After all, we are still the Yang State's army. He can't just ignore us, a young general suddenly shouted. En. Zhao Kunwu nodded. A group of people ran towards Yang Chuan. Behind them, a group of demonic rabbits kept chasing. Your Highness, that group of traitors is here. Liu Jin's expression changed as he said. They even attracted a large group of demonic rabbits. Lord, what should we do? Hu Guang was also worried. Plotting against the state and looking down on the king. Kill them. Yang Chuan's eyes turned cold. Yes. Hu Guang immediately understood Yang Chuan's meaning. Put the arrows on the crossbows. Hu Guang waved his hand. Ka. 2,000 crossbows immediately aimed in Zhao Kunwu's direction. Chapter 62. Don't. We surrender. Lord, we were wrong. Please save us. Lord, I, Zhao Kunwu, was wrong. Lord, please have mercy on us. The Green Scarf Army soldiers cried and begged for mercy. Yang Chuan stood with his hands behind his back. He squinted his eyes and shook his head. It's too late. Fire. Hu Guang ordered. Boom. Arrows rained down on Zhao Kunwu and the others. More than 2,000 arrows, like more than 2,000 death talismans, suddenly landed on more than 100 Green Scarf Army soldiers. Don't. After a round of arrows, more than half of them were turned into porcupines. Their bodies were pierced by arrows, and they died with hatred. However, there were also 16 people with high cultivation. Their bodies glowed with green light and blocked the arrows. They were lucky enough to survive. Zhao Kunwu clutched his left shoulder that had been pierced. His eyes were filled with hatred. Yang Chuan, you will die a horrible death. Traitor, you deserve to die. Yang Chuan snorted. Zhao Kunwu's eyes were red. The scar on his face twitched. He shouted, everyone, follow me and kill Yang Chuan. Yes. The 15 generals who were still alive shouted. Boom. The 15 of them charged at Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan stood at the head of the 3,000 soldiers. He was the closest to Zhao Kunwu and the others. Seeing everyone running over without regard for their lives, Hu Guang's face changed and he said, release the arrows. Protect him. Liu Jin shouted. Boom. A large number of arrows rained down on the 15 people. More than a dozen silver-armored soldiers rushed forward to protect him. Lord, retreat with the old slave. Zhao Kunwu and the others are crazy. Liu Jin shouted Jiaohu. Yang Chuan ignored her. Retreat. How could this bunch of filthy people make him retreat? Under the rain of arrows, another 5 generals were killed on the spot. However, the cultivation of this group of people was too high, and 11 of them rushed forward. As the two sides clashed, the nearby silver-armored soldiers swarmed forward. The long spears turned into a forest of spears, fiercely thrusting. Dang! Dang! The 11 powerhouses' bodies glowed with green light as they waved their long sabers. Streaks of green saber light shot out as they blocked the silver-armored soldiers. There were 3,000 silver armor guards, but not many of them relied on Yang Chuan. Even though they were surging from behind, they were still too slow. Zhao Kunwu broke out of the encirclement with 3 of them and arrived in front of Yang Chuan in an instant. Toxic Dragon Drill. Hue Guang's long spear emitted a dazzling silver light. It seemed as if it had transformed into a silver dragon, and ruthlessly pierced towards Zhao Kunwu. You are already at LV8 of the Power Realm? Zhao Kunwu's expression changed. Dragon Slaying Slash. The broadsword in Zhao Kunwu's hand blossomed with a dazzling green light, and fiercely chopped towards Hue Guang's long spear. Boom! The saber and the spear collided with a loud noise, and the ground beneath their feet cracked. Hue Guang's long spear broke into pieces, and so did Zhao Kunwu's broadsword. Ta, ta, ta. Hue Guang retreated 7 or 8 steps before he could stabilize himself. My lord! A silver-armored Jiaohu next to him shouted. Whoosh! Hue Guang snatched his long spear and rushed forward again. When Hue Guang was pushed back, Zhao Kunwu also took 2 steps back. His eyes were filled with uncertainty, but Zhao Kunwu also reacted quickly. He threw away his broken broadsword and rushed towards Yang Chuan barehanded. Without Hue Guang blocking his way, Zhao Kunwu sped up. Stop! Hue Guang threw his long spear towards Zhao Kunwu, who was rushing towards Yang Chuan. Whoosh! Zhao Kunwu quickly dodged and looked at Hue Guang, who was about to catch up with him. Chapter 63. Stop Hue Guang! Stop Hue Guang! Zhao Kunwu shouted. Yes. 2 subordinates answered and went to stop Hue Guang. Sir. Another young soldier threw a spear. Hue Guang caught it and shouted at the 2 people blocking his way, "Those who block me will die." Boom! The spear broke one person's broadsword and went straight for his shoulder. However, the other person slashed at Hue Guang. Boom! Hue Guang blocked his blade, but his body was dragged down. Zhao Kunwu arrived in front of Yang Chuan in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! 10 spears came from all directions, but the cultivation of these silver-armored guards was far inferior to Zhao Kunwu's. Boom! Boom! Zhao Kunwu's body emitted a green light. When he stretched out his hand and punched, the spears around him were knocked away and he went straight for Yang Chuan, who was 2 steps away. At this moment, Liu Jin was entangled by the last person brought by Zhao Kunwu. In an instant, Yang Chuan was exposed to Zhao Kunwu's palms. Because his left shoulder was hit by an arrow, Zhao Kunwu's right hand formed a claw and grabbed at Yang Chuan's throat. He wanted to break Yang Chuan's throat. Zhao Kunwu's right claw was filled with killing intent. It scratched Yang Chuan's face. Yang Chuan didn't retreat. His eyes were cold. Just as the green claw was about to grab him, Yang Chuan leaned back and narrowly avoided Zhao Kunwu's claw. Wide open. Yang Chuan's disdainful voice sounded in Zhao Kunwu's ears. Zhao Kunwu's expression changed. At this moment, Yang Chuan's right hand went straight for Zhao Kunwu's chest. Boom! Yang Chuan's right hand was emitting a golden light. At this moment, it seemed to have turned into a golden dragon claw. Boom! The claw broke Zhao Kunwu's armor. It pierced through the green light and embedded itself into his flesh. No! Zhao Kunwu's expression changed. His body flipped violently. Kai! Zhao Kunwu dodged Yang Chuan's heart-piercing claw, but a large chunk of his flesh was still clawed off by Yang Chuan. Whitebone hand! As Zhao Kunwu flipped his body, his hand strangely passed through the gap between the flipped body. Like a steel claw, cold light radiated in all directions, and once again grabbed at Yang Chuan's face. Zhao family's ultimate technique? In the distance, Liu Jin's expression changed greatly. Lord! The silver armor Jiaohu shouted. The Whitebone hand was the most powerful skill of the Zhao family. It was said that no one under the state of essence could resist it. Zhao Kunwu actually knew the Whitebone hand. Hoochie! The sound of flesh being torn apart could be heard, and blood splattered everywhere. Yang Chuan and Zhao Kunwu stopped fighting. Almost everyone suddenly fell silent. Zhao Kunwu's skeletal hand didn't touch Yang Chuan's body. It only grabbed Yang Chuan's shoulder. However, Yang Chuan's palm had pierced into Zhao Kunwu's chest. LV7 of the state of strength. You are only at LV7 of the state of strength. But I am at LV9 of the state of strength. Why? Zhao Kunwu asked in disbelief. The skill you practice is too weak. There are too many flaws. Yang Chuan said lightly. Squeak. Yang Chuan clenched his hand violently and crushed Zhao Kunwu's heart. A large amount of blood splattered everywhere. No, the white bone hand of the Zhao family is the best in the state of strength. The family head said that no one can break the state of strength. There are no flaws. Zhao Kunwu shouted with his last breath. But in my eyes, there are flaws everywhere. Yang Chuan said disdainfully. No. Zhao Kunwu breathed his last in despair. Bang. Yang Chuan pulled his hand out of Zhao Kunwu's chest. Kai. 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 10 spears pierced through Zhao Kunwu. Lord. The Green Scarf army shouted in fear. Die. Hu Guang pierced through another person. A large number of blood armor soldiers rushed over and killed the rest of the rebels. Bang. The corpses of Zhao Kunwu and the others were thrown out. Chapter 64. A group of demon rabbits immediately surrounded them and quickly divided up the corpses. They held the corpses in their hands and chewed. Although the blood armor army was not troubled by the demon rabbits, they still felt their stomachs churn when they saw the demon rabbits eating people up close. Not far away, Mo Yushi's subordinates took up 4 positions to protect the group. A large number of demon rabbits surrounded them. These demon rabbits seemed to be unkillable. Qing Long attacked again and again, making the demon rabbits stronger and stronger. Even when Qing Long cut a demon rabbit in half, the demon rabbit could still live. It leaned together and recovered to its original state. Mr. Munro, these monsters can't be killed. What kind of monsters are they? Qing Long said anxiously. If they were demon beasts, Qing Long would have killed them long ago. However, these rabbits could not be killed. Underworld rabbit demons. Are they related to the underworld? The underworld guides dead souls. As long as the soul is not destroyed, they will not die. Mr. Munro frowned. Moreover, even if we pay the price to destroy the soul of the rabbit, there are still countless demon rabbits here. Mo Yushi said worriedly. Then what should we do? Qing Long said anxiously. Let's go. Let's get closer to Yang Chuan and ask him, Mr. Munro said. Yes. Everyone answered. The 4 experts kept sending the demon rabbits flying as they approached Yang Chuan. However, the demon rabbits that were sent flying immediately rushed over again. Wherever they passed, the sky was filled with demon rabbits that were sent flying. At the same time, Yang Chuan's army was also in danger. With the death of the Green Scarf army, more and more demon rabbits surrounded Yang Chuan. Ka. The demon rabbits glared and kept growling. The demon rabbits became more and more irritable. They felt the fear of the demon blood on everyone and suppressed their desire to devour them. Ka. More and more demon rabbits gathered. When there were more than 500 of them, some of them were ready to attack. Lord, what should we do? Hu Guang looked worried. Seal, sword seal of the Akala seal. Yang Chuan shouted. Sword seal? Sword seal. Hu Guang was at a loss at first, but then he immediately understood. Quickly give out orders. Ka. The 3,000 soldiers quickly stabbed their spears into the ground. The index and middle fingers of his left hand stretched out separately, and he used his thumb to press down on the fingernails of his little finger and ring finger. His right hand did the same, and he placed his index and middle fingers on the palm of his left hand, stacking the 2 swords. The sword seal was formed. 3,000 sword seal. Done. Wang. The group of rabbit demons suddenly fell silent. Rabbit demon could see the blood fiend formed by the rabbit blood. Originally, he only saw wisps of blood-colored fog surrounding everyone, but at that moment, the blood-colored fog changed. Shush. In an instant, it was as if 3,000 blood-red swords had emerged from the blood mist. The original blood fiend was catalyzed to the extreme. Silently recite the mantra, Yang Chuan ordered. Recite the mantra. Yang Chuan's order was quickly passed down by word of mouth, and the entire army quickly understood. Southern 3-man duo Fa Jaluo Valiant. Southern 3-man duo Fa Jaluo Valiant. Southern three-man duo Fa Jaluo Valiant. The 3,000 soldiers recited the mantra and immediately activated the sword seal. In the eyes of the rabbit demons, the 3,000 blood-red swords immediately shot out sharp blood-fiend sword auras. Like a hurricane, they surged towards the group of rabbit demons. Although the sword seal activated by mortals did not have much power, and only had a majestic aura, these demon rabbits did not have much intelligence, only instinct. The terrifying sword baleful aura shot over, and the rabbit demon seemed to have seen despair. It immediately retreated in fear. Woo woo woo. The rabbit demons stumbled and crawled away in fear. In their panic, they even collided with each other. The scene was in chaos. This came from the purest of instincts. As the rabbit demons could be revived, they did not fear death. However, Yang Chuan's army was stained with the blood fiend of their own kind. They were truly killed, and in large numbers. Once the sword fiend was released, it was as if a great destruction had swept over. How could the rabbit demons not flee? The eyes of the Silver Armor army lit up, and they were all unusually excited. Because at this moment, everyone understood that this was not a trick. It was a real immortal technique, an immortal technique. Everyone looked at Yang Chuan gratefully. He carefully and solemnly recalled this set of a Kalanatha seal, afraid that he would forget it. "Lord, we've succeeded, we've succeeded," Hua Guang said excitedly. The rabbit demons scattered, causing the people in the distance to be shocked. Yang Zhigu and Ding Wugu's faces twitched. Qing Long felt bitter. He was an expert, but he could not achieve anything after fighting for so long. Yet, the rabbit demons did not dare to approach those mortals. "Mr. Munro, what seal is this?" Mo Yushi's eyes lit up. "Buddhist seal. A Kalanatha seal," Mr. Munro said solemnly. "A Kalanatha seal?" Mo Yushi said in surprise. "A Kalanatha seal is easy to learn, but difficult to master. It also lost some of the seals. It's an incomplete set," Mr. Munro said thoughtfully. "Incomplete set. This set of seals requires constant practice and accumulation of years. The longer you practice it, the stronger it will be. Although the power of this group of mortals is not great, it's perfect to use here. The most important thing is the blood of the rabbit demons. This Yang Chuan should be very familiar with the 8 Evils Yellow Springs formation. He was able to resolve the crisis step by step with a group of mortals," Mr. Munro said with a frown. "Yes, he really knows this formation," Mo Yushi said expectantly. Chapter 65. Mo Yushi's 3 subordinates lured the group of red-furred demon rabbits away. The others approached Yang Chuan. "Prince Yang, are you familiar with this formation?" Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan and asked. Yang Chuan looked at the others. Although his cultivation in his previous life was gone, his eyesight did not diminish. Other than Mr. Wen Ruo, everyone else had a high and mighty attitude. Including Mo Yushi. She was polite to him because he was useful to her. This superior attitude made Yang Chuan extra careful. Therefore, when the others made the unreasonable request of asking Yang Chuan to be their guide, Yang Chuan immediately agreed. "I've heard of this outer formation before, but not much." Yang Chuan smiled. "Not much? What else?" Mo Yushi asked. Yang Chuan looked at the sky. Yellow clouds were about to cover the entire sky. Yang Chuan narrowed his eyes and said, "The entrance is about to appear. Similarly, the most dangerous moment is coming." "Oh!" The others were slightly surprised. Rumble. The moment the yellow clouds covered the sky, a loud boom rang out, and the entire world inside the formation shook violently. The shaking was most intense at the center of the yellow pillar. After a series of explosions, the ground around the yellow pillar cracked. As the ground shook, 8 mounds appeared around the pillar. The mounds grew larger and larger. Gradually, they rose from the ground and looked like 8 tall mountains. "Why are there 8 mountains suddenly?" Mo Yushi frowned. "These are not mountains. These are 8 graves. When the 8 Malice Yellow Springs formation is set up, the Feng Shui master must bury 64 powerful monsters alive. These are the graves of 8 of them," Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. "Bury them alive?" Qing Long was surprised. It's similar to burying them alive. This way, they can accumulate their resentment and set up the formation with their resentment. This is a common method used by many feng shui formations. Haven't you heard of it? Yang Chuan looked at the others. Mr. Munro shook his head and said, there are very few feng shui books. The feng shui master's heritage is passed down by word of mouth. We don't have many feng shui masters here. Therefore, we know very little about feng shui. Isn't he a feng shui master? Yang Chuan looked at Ding Wu with a smile. Ding Wu Ding's face. The feng shui array I studied just happened to not have this. Ding Wu Gu argued. On the ground, there was a yellow liquid. On the ground was a sea. The ground. The ground is sinking? The ground? Qing Long's face changed. The feng shui masters. The 8 feng shui master is, feng shui master, NN. As Yang Chuan walked at the front and analyzed the 8 tombs in front of him. His eyes narrowed and the corners of his mouth curled up. He immediately walked towards one of the tombs. With Yang Chuan leading the way, the group naturally walked into one of the tombs. Although it was called a tomb, the tomb was extremely tall. Just as they walked to the foot of the tomb, the group subconsciously turned their heads to look back. Behind them was a vast yellow spring sea. In the yellow spring sea, many feng shui rabbit demons seemed to have sunk into the yellow spring sea and disappeared. Only 8 of them did not disappear. Moreover, these 8 feng shui rabbit demons grew bigger and bigger. 50 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, 1,000 feet tall. As the feng shui rabbit demons grew bigger, the murderous aura around them grew heavier. Roar. The 8 feng shui rabbit demons roared at the sky. The yellow clouds in the sky spun rapidly and the weather changed. Chapter 66. 8 rabbit demons, each guarding a huge tomb. One of them was guarding the huge tomb Yang Chuan's group was in. Immediately, it roared and charged forward. Mo Yu Shi's 3 subordinates floated in the air. White Tiger, Rosefinch, Xuanwu. The 3 subordinates formed hand seals and attacked the rabbit demons. Balls of white light, red light, and black light shot straight at the enormous devil rabbit pouncing over. Boom! The huge impact caused the rabbit demons to tremble. But the rabbit demons still charged forward. Boom! Boom! 2 slaps sent 2 of them flying. Not good. Qing Long's expression changed. Qing Long stepped forward and joined the battle. 100 zhong. How tall was 100 zhong? 1 zhong was 1 floor. 100 zhong was a monster as tall as 100 floors. At this moment, the silver-armored army was shocked. Their eyes also flashed with desire. They wanted to have such power. Saintus, quickly find the entrance. The 4 of us will block it. Qing Long said Jiaohu. All right. Mo Yu Shi nodded. As she spoke, she looked at Yang Chuan. I found it. I found the entrance. Ding Wu Jiyu suddenly danced with joy. Chem. Everyone turned to look at Ding Wu Jiyu. I can feel it. It's at the top of the mountain. No, it's at the top of this tomb. I can feel it. Ding Wu Jiyu immediately said excitedly. At the same time, Ding Wu Jiyu looked at Yang Chuan provocatively. Yang Chuan smiled faintly. As for the exact entrance, only people with special physiques can sense it. I can't sense it. Let's go up the mountain first. Yang Jigu said excitedly. Let's go. Ding Wu Jiyu walked at the front with excitement. Go up the mountain, Yang Chuan said. Yes. Hu Guang replied. 3,000 soldiers followed Yang Chuan up the mountain quickly. Ding Wugu and the others had high cultivation levels, so their speed was especially fast. In the blink of an eye, they had left the army behind. Looking at Ding Wugu's smug appearance, Yang Chuan revealed an imperceptible sneer. At the top of the mountain, there was a huge platform carved with a large number of runes. Ding Wugu, Yang Jigu and the others were the first to reach the peak. Ding Wu Jiyu, where is the entrance? Mo Yu Shi asked. Here. Ding Wugu pointed at the center of the countless runes. Everyone looked at Ding Wugu in confusion. I can't be wrong. I can feel it. It's right here. In feng shui, It's called a seamless entrance. It needs to be opened with the blood of a feng shui master. As he spoke, Ding Wugu bit his finger and blood flowed out. He walked to the center and dripped his blood onto a rune in the center. Wang. The rune suddenly emitted a dazzling golden light, and then a large amount of fog gushed out. Rumble. A crack suddenly appeared in the fog. It was just like the crack in the feng shui array. The interior of the crack was pitch black. It's here. Go in from here, Ding Wugu said excitedly. Then let's go in. Yang Jigu nodded. Let's wait for Yang Chuan. Mo Yushi frowned. Yang Chuan's army was halfway up the mountain. Why should we wait for them? They're a bunch of burdens, Ding Wugu said angrily. They'll be here soon, Mr. Munro advised. If you want to wait, then wait. I'm going in first, Ding Wugu said unhappily. Ding Wugu stepped into the crack. Everyone looked at Ding Wugu with unpleasant expressions. Clearly, they were unhappy with Ding Wugu's decision. Ah! Save me .. Ding Wugu's screams suddenly came from inside. Oh no! Mr. Munro's expression changed. They rushed in. Chapter 67. Isn't this the entrance? What's going on? What should we do? Yang Jigu panicked. With Mr. Munro's help, Ding Wugu will be fine. Mo Yushi comforted him. After that, Mo Yushi looked down at Yang Chuan and the others. Her face was slightly gloomy. She seemed to have guessed something. Boom .. At the entrance, a white light shot up into the sky, instantly illuminating the surroundings. The entire tomb shook violently. Yang Chuan, who was halfway up the mountain, paused for a moment. He looked at the top of the mountain and pondered. What a strong aura of righteousness. This Mr. Munro seems to be hiding his strength. Boom. Mr. Munro came out with Ding Wugu in his hands. Mr. Munro's clothes were slightly damaged. Ding Wugu's body was full of bloody holes. His clothes were dyed red with blood. In the big bloody holes, one could even see the white bones. His left eye was badly mutilated, and he was dying. Ding Wugu, how are you? Yang Jigu's face changed. He quickly took out a pill and fed it to Ding Wugu. As soon as the pill entered his stomach, his body emitted waves of green light. The bloody holes on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, his left eye could not be healed. It was left with a hideous bloody hole. Chickens, chickens, so many chickens. They pecked me, Ding Wugu said with lingering fear. Mr. Munro's face darkened. Mr. Munro, what happened just now? Mo Yushi asked solemnly. Mo Yushi knew Mr. Munro's strength. For such a powerful person to come out in such a sorry state, it was clear that the inside was dangerous. This is not the entrance, Mr. Munro said simply. At this moment, Yang Chuan's army finally reached the top of the mountain. Looking at Ding Wugu, who was full of bloody holes, Yang Chuan sighed. It was a pity. Ding Wugu, didn't you say this is the entrance? Yang Jigu shouted. I just have a feeling. I know. It must be that dog. He did it on purpose. He wants to harm me, he wants to harm me, Ding Wugu cried out. It's you, Yang Chuan. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? You want to kill me? Ding Wugu roared at Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan, did you do this on purpose? Yang Jigu also looked at Yang Chuan coldly. Mo Yushi once again examined Yang Chuan. Hearing everyone's questions, the Silver Armor army was in an uproar. All of them looked at Yang Chuan with gratitude. It was this dwarf who had used the poisonous fog to kill 2 of his brothers. If it was really the Lord's doing, then it was to avenge their dead brothers. Unfortunately, the dwarf didn't die. On purpose? What a joke. How did I do it on purpose? You found the entrance yourself. What does the danger inside have to do with me? Yang Chuan said disdainfully. It must be you. It must be you. Ding Wugu roared hatefully. Yang Chuan smiled disdainfully. Enough. Mo Yushi shouted coldly. She stopped Ding Wugu. She turned to Yang Chuan and said, Prince Yang, I don't care if you did it on purpose or not. I don't want to pursue the matter. I just want to know how to enter the inner formation. The entrance is at the top of these 8 tombs. However, there is only one entrant. You need the special physique of a feng shui master to find it. Yang Chuan nodded. I won't believe you. I won't believe you, Ding Wugu said hatefully. I didn't ask you to believe me, Yang Chuan said with a smile. Ding Wugu's face immediately turned red. He stared hatefully at Yang Chuan. Mr. Wenruo smiled bitterly with a complicated expression. Mr. Munro was sure that Yang Chuan was the one who set Ding Wugu up. Chapter 68. It was a pity that Ding Wugu had been ruthless and domineering all his life. Now, he finally got his comeuppance for provoking Yang Chuan. When we entered just now, there were countless roosters. It must be the grave of the Zun position. Since we've already entered the Kuan position, we must enter the Kuan position as well. This is the Zun position. The Kuan position is above that giant grave. That should be the entrance, right? Mr. Munro looked at Yang Chuan and smiled. Hearing Mr. Munro's analysis, Yang Chuan's eyes flashed with admiration. Let's give it a try then. Everyone walked towards the giant grave in the Kuan position. Although there were powerful attacks from the rabbit demons, Qing Long and the other 3 managed to block them. They reached the top of the giant grave in the Kuan position. Under Mr. Munro's request, Ding Wugu opened another entrance. However, Ding Wugu hid far away. He almost died just now. How would he dare to go forward now? Prince Yang, is it this one? Mo Yu, she asked. I'm not sure. Yang Chuan shook his head. Then send a team in to take a look, Yang Jigu said calmly. The faces of the soldiers immediately darkened as they looked at Yang Zhijiu. Sending a group of people to their deaths. Yeah, you have so many people anyway. You have to send people in. Ding Wugu covered his blind eyes and said resentfully. Prince Yang, this entrance was opened by Ding Wugu. Do you think you should send a team in to take a look? Mo Yu, she asked. All the cultivators closed in on Yang Chuan. All the soldiers clenched their fists and looked at the crowd coldly. Yang Chuan smiled and said, since you don't dare to, let me go first. Everyone, follow me, Yang Chuan said calmly. Yes. All the soldiers replied. At this moment, Yang Chuan had completely won the hearts of the 3,000 soldiers. Even if they had to die with him, the soldiers would not hesitate. Yang Chuan walked at the front. The 3,000 soldiers quickly went in. Ding Wugu, Yang Jigu, and the others all frowned as they watched. They went in. Ding Wugu was still in disbelief. Mr. Munro stepped in. Yang Jigu followed closely behind Mr. Munro. Qing Long, you 4 can come back now. After speaking, Mo Yu, she also went in. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Azure Dragon and the others quickly flew back. Ding Wugu had a complicated expression on his face as he walked in. Without the resistance of the 4 great powerhouses, the Yellow Springs Rabbit Devil's gaze landed on Ding Wugu. Ding Wugu stepped into it. The moment Ding Wugu stepped in, the entrance suddenly disappeared. A huge Wugu. Even though there were 3,000 soldiers in their way, it was still a place. When Yang Chuan and the others stepped into the entrance, they appeared here. However, the entrance from before had mysteriously disappeared. Lord, the entrance is gone, Hua Guang said worriedly. We're about to enter the inner formation. This feng shui formation only allows entry, not exit. Yang Chuan frowned. Everyone looked around. There were 2 large doors. The words yin and yang were written on each door. Lord, there are 2 doors here. Shall we go in and take a look? Hua Guang immediately called out. With a wave of his hand, Yang Chuan stopped Hua Guang. He narrowed his eyes and said, this is a dead-end formation. It's easy to enter, but difficult to leave. If you go in, you'll find that the door you just entered has disappeared again. Ah. Hua Guang immediately stopped talking. Then how do we go in? Mo Yu, she looked at Yang Chuan. Only one of the 2 doors leads to the inner formation. The other door should be a cage. Once we enter, we'll be trapped inside. Unless the feng shui formation is completely broken, Yang Chuan said in a low voice. Chapter 69. Then, which door leads to the inner array? Mo Yu, she asked. Yang Chuan shook his head and sighed. I've only heard of this type of feng shui array, but I've never experienced how to break it. At this moment, Ding Wugu gave Yang Jigu a look. Then he gestured in a direction. Yang Jigu's expression changed. He immediately understood Ding Wugu's meaning, and a hint of excitement flashed in his eyes. Since you don't know which door, let's split up. Yushi, you go through the yin door, and I'll go through the yang door, Yang Jigu said. Mo Yu, she frowned slightly. Prince Yang, you really can't tell? Mo Yu, she looked at Yang Chuan again. No. Yang Chuan shook his head. Ding Wugu, what about you? Mo Yu, she looked at Ding Wugu. Ding Wugu's eyes flashed with hatred again. Mo Yu, she actually asked Yang Chuan first, and then asked him. Was he really not as good as him? I can't tell. Ding Wugu shook his head. What about Mr. Munro? Mo Yu, she looked at Mr. Munro. Mr. Munro smiled bitterly and shook his head. All right, Rosefinch, Xuanwu. Yes, sir. The two subordinates immediately responded. You two are responsible for protecting Yang Gongzi, Mo Yu, she ordered. Yes, sir. The two immediately responded. Qing Long, White Tiger, and Prince Yang, come with me, Mo Yu, she said. Okay. Yang Chuan nodded. What about the army? Ding Wugu looked at the 3,000 soldiers. A cold smile appeared on his face. Wherever I go, they will naturally follow, Yang Chuan said in a low voice. The 3,000 soldiers could not be split up. If they went to Ding Wugu's side, that would be sending them to their deaths. All right, cut the crap. Mr. Munro is as talented as 100,000 soldiers. Mr. Munro is with you, Mo Yu, she said with a frown. Yes. Ding Wugu said solemnly. They split into two groups. Yang Chuan's army, Mo Yu Shi, Qing Long, and White Tiger entered the Yin Gate. Mr. Munro, Yang Jigu, Ding Wugu, Rosefinch, and Xuanwu entered the Yang Gate. Boom. The door opened, and everyone entered one after another. Yang Chuan's group soon appeared in an even larger hall. Lord, the door behind us has disappeared again, Hu Guang gulped. It was an even bigger hall. The hall was dark, but he could vaguely see the silhouettes in the distance. Qing Long waved his hand, and a green light illuminated the entire hall. There's no exit. Qing Long's expression changed. This is a sealed hall. White Tiger's expression also darkened. This can't be. Mo Yu Shi's expression darkened, and she turned to look at Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan nodded lightly. No wonder they suggested to go through the Yang Gate. Ding Wugu must have sensed the entrance. Did he collude with Yang Jigu? Ding Wugu. Dwarfs. Damn it. Mo Yu Shi immediately guessed everything, and she was extremely angry. Ah, what's that? A young soldier suddenly exclaimed. Everyone looked over. It was a green stone wall, and the wall was extremely smooth. However, on this smooth wall, a human face slowly and strangely appeared. It was a human face with a pained expression. Woo woo. Eerie cries could be heard from the hall. Everyone's scalps went numb. However, this was just the beginning. 2 more human faces appeared next to that human face. 4 more, 8, and 80 more faces appeared. On the wall, human faces suddenly appeared one after another. Their expressions were different, but they were all crying in pain. In the blink of an eye, there were almost 10,000 human faces on the wall of the hall. The human faces were crying, and it was heart-wrenching. Everyone felt as if they were in hell, and they were filled with endless sorrow. Chapter 70. In the blink of an eye, there were close to 10,000 faces on the walls of the hall. Everyone felt as if they were in the underworld, filled with endless sorrow. Wang. Woo woo woo. Ah. En. As soon as nearly 10,000 cries rang out, it immediately became extremely noisy and rushed straight to one's heart. Their emotions were infected and fragmented. Her sorrowful cries were filled with a myriad of different kinds of desolation, causing one's heart and mind to be stirred up. Some of the silver-armored soldiers immediately felt dizzy and swayed. Yang Chuan immediately realized that something was wrong with the Silver Armor Army. Immovable mountain, solitary cobalt seal, Yang Chuan shouted. This shout contained a trace of the will of an emperor, and it suppressed the thousands of cries. The 3,000 soldiers suddenly woke up from the inexplicable sadness and quickly formed hand seals. As he silently recited the mantra, it was as if a ripple had spread out from the bottom of his heart. Instantly, all of his sadness and agitation were eliminated. Who? Long cries of lingering fear could be heard from the 3,000 soldiers. When they looked at the bitter faces on the wall again, they were all frightened. At the same time, they didn't dare to relax their hand seals in the slightest. Lord. Liu Jin looked at Yang Chuan worriedly. Yang Chuan gently shook his head, indicating that he would talk about it later. Qing Long's seal. Break. Qing Long shouted loudly. He formed a hand seal with his hand, and a green light emerged from the hand seal. It looked like a dragon, but it was not a dragon. He slammed into the wall. Boom. The Qing Long seal smashed into the wall and violently attacked. Immediately, a gust of wind blew, violently blowing past the 3,000 soldiers. Ta! Ta! The soldiers were pushed back by this powerful aura. How could this be? Qing Long, who was not far away, exclaimed. Everyone looked over. On the wall, there was only a hole with a radius of 1 zhong and a thickness of half a zhong. The powerful Azure Dragon Seal had only caused such a small amount of damage. Not only that, the damaged wall was strangely recovering, and the hole was automatically filling up. Furthermore, the destroyed bitter face was strangely recovering as well. Big brother, your Qing Long seal can only cause so little damage. Moreover, the wall could recover automatically. Then when can it be broken? The white tiger said with an ugly expression. Prince Yang. Mo Yu she looked anxiously at Yang Chuan. Taking a deep breath, Yang Chuan shook his head and said, this cage has the support of the Earth Dragon vein. He can't open it. At the very least, I can't open it now. Prince Yang, you know this formation well, but how do you get out? I want to get out, I must get out. Mo Yu she said anxiously. The feng shui master who set up this formation must have caught a nightmare demon from the netherworld. There's a nightmare demon hiding among the 34,000 bitter faces. Find the incubus and kill it. Yang Chuan did not hide anything. Then I'll destroy them one by one. 103,000 bitter faces? We'll destroy them all. Mo Yu she said firmly. Shaking his head, Yang Chuan smiled bitterly and said, the nightmare demon doesn't stay in a single bitter face. It can reside in any bitter face. You destroyed a bitter face, but it will soon recover because of the Earth Dragon vein. The nightmare demon will then be able to reside in the bitter face you eliminated. Prince Yang, I have my own difficulties. I must obtain the thing inside. Please help me break this cage. After this, I will reward you generously. Mo Yu she said anxiously. Shaking his head, Yang Chuan smiled bitterly. I'm telling the truth. I've never experienced this array before. I've only heard about it from others. It's impossible to break it. The only way is to wait for the incubus to find you and use that opportunity to find it. Chapter 71. Will it look for us? Mo Yu she's eyes lit up. That's right, a nightmare. It can enter a person's dream and wantonly mess up the dream, creating fear and sadness. It feeds on the power of the wandering souls. I will let my officers and soldiers take turns to enter the land of dreams and do their best to search for the nightmare demon. As for you, Qing Long and White Tiger, it's best that you don't fall asleep. Yang Chuan thought for a moment and said. Why? Mo Yu she asked curiously. Because your cultivation is too high. Yang Chuan said solemnly. You're worried that we'll be taken advantage of by the nightmare? Are you doubting our willpower? Mo Yu she said in a low voice. Yang Chuan smiled, shook his head, and said nothing more. He turned around and looked at Hu Guang. Set up camp. Yes. Hu Guang quickly ordered the soldiers to put down the things they were carrying. Some of the soldiers carried the tents and quickly set them up. When they couldn't take it anymore, they would use the Akalanatha seal. When they calmed down, they would continue working. Mo Yu she anxiously walked towards the wall and carefully looked at the bitter face on the wall, her eyes filled with anxiety. Qing Long, continue to destroy bitter face for me. Focus on bitter face and attack. Mo Yu she said in a low voice. Yes. Qing Long replied. Boom. 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 Rumbling sounds came from the surrounding walls as Qing Long continuously destroyed the bitter face. However, the bitter face quickly recovered. On the other side, Yang Chuan's headquarters tent had already been set up. Yang Chuan ignored the outside world and led Hu Guang and Liu Jin inside. Lord, are we going to be trapped here forever? Liu Jin asked worriedly. Yang Chuan nodded. I know what you're worried about. How much food do we have now? If the soldiers don't train with meat, the meat and water that we have with us can only last for about 10 days. Liu Jin said immediately. Then don't practice. For the next few days, pay attention when you are sleeping. Make sure that there is someone watching over everyone when they are sleeping. If someone has a nightmare, quickly use your inner energy to attack their glabella and wake them up. Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. Also, when you wake up from the nightmare, try to remember where the nightmare went when the dream disappeared. Yang Chuan said solemnly. Follow the direction he's pointing and shoot at the bitter face on the wall. Yes. Bring me my clothes. I want to change out of these bloody clothes. Yang Chuan ordered Liu Jin. 2 days later. Saintess, we've destroyed all the bitter faces, but we still haven't found the nightmare. Qing Long said with an ugly expression. I was too arrogant in the past. Mo Yu she smiled bitterly. Saintess, we don't practice feng shui. Saintess doesn't know feng shui, so don't belittle yourself. If you practice feng shui, even 10 feng shui masters can't compare to Saintess. White Tiger comforted. I know. Mo Yu she said helplessly. Qing Long, you've been fighting non-stop for the past 2 days. I think you must be tired. Rest with White Tiger. Mo Yu she looked at Qing Long. Yes. Qing Long and White Tiger rested at the side. Mo Yu she looked at the 3,000 soldiers. Most of the 3,000 soldiers were practicing military formations. Brothers, if you can't practice for the past few days, then practice this military formation. This is the fierce tiger formation that the Lord taught us. I'm sure everyone knows how powerful the Lord's teachings are. The Lord wants to lead us to a path to heaven. Do you want to walk with your heart? Hu Guang shouted. Yes. The soldiers shouted excitedly. Chapter 72. All of the soldiers understood what Yang Chuan meant. He wanted to lead the 3,000 soldiers on the path of cultivation. At this moment, all of them revealed looks of joy and appreciation. Good, then continue to practice. Hu Guang shouted. Yes. The morale of the soldiers was high. They practiced a set of formations that did not seem very profound, but the soldiers were extremely enthusiastic. Mo Yu she looked at this scene strangely. Ferocious tiger army formation? Then, Mo Yu she looked towards the central tent. Mo Yu she was silent for a while. After a while, she took a deep breath and walked towards the central tent. Inside the central tent. Lord, no one has had nightmares these 2 days. Liu Jin said respectfully. This incubus is really cunning. Yang Chuan said solemnly. Lord, Miss Mo requests an audience. A soldier reported from outside the tent. Oh. Let her in. Yang Chuan said in surprise. Yes. Very quickly, Mo Yu she stepped into the tent. Prince Yang. Mo Yu she smiled. Miss Mo. Yang Chuan looked at Mo Yu she. Can I talk to you alone? Mo Yu she's expression became serious. Liu Jin, you can leave first. Yang Chuan turned and said. Yes. Liu Jin respectfully left the tent. Miss Mo, please. Yang Chuan invited Mo Yushi to sit at a table. Mo Yushi nodded. There was a pot of tea on the table. Yang Chuan poured 2 cups. It's just some tea, please forgive me. Yang Chuan handed over a cup of tea. It's already very good. Mo Yushi gladly accepted it. Miss Mo, what do you want to discuss? Yang Chuan looked towards Mo Yushi. Mo Yushi looked outside the tent and frowned slightly. I've observed the 3,000 soldiers outside. You're looking for meat for them, teaching them seals and military formations. Are you trying to lead them onto the path of cultivation? Why not? Yang Chuan smiled. Many cultivators can't even gather enough resources for their own cultivation, and you want to bring 3,000 burdens with you? That's an incalculable amount of resources. Do you have that much? As far as I know, you have nothing, right? Moreover, even if we spend a lot of resources to help them reach the elite realm, so what? Their strength will still be at the bottom. To high-level cultivators, it's nothing. Just like your 3,000 soldiers, they can't compare to one Qinglong. Instead of splitting the resources and creating a bunch of burdens, why not gather the resources and create a few strong followers? Mo Yushi asked curiously. Yang Chuan looked at Mo Yushi and smiled. 3,000 soldiers? Was that a lot? In Yang Chuan's eyes, it was not a lot. Mo Yushi could not see Yang Chuan's grand ambitions now. 3,000 low-level cultivators? Yang Chuan had great uses for them. Resources. With an army in hand, why worry about not having enough resources? This is my family's matter. Miss Mo, you shouldn't worry too much, Yang Chuan said lightly. Hey! Mo Yushi did not know whether to laugh or cry. She tried to persuade him out of goodwill, but this was the reply she got. After drinking a mouthful of tea, Mo Yushi's expression became serious. She thought for a while. Yang Chuan waited quietly. Prince Yang, do you really have no way to break this cage? Mo Yushi's eyes showed a trace of desire. Yang Chuan shook his head. I didn't hide this from you. Mo Yushi smiled bitterly and said slowly, I know that it was wrong of us to let you be our guide. I really wanted to get the item in the formation too much. I'm really sorry about what happened before. Please forgive me. Yang Chuan could hear the sincerity in Mo Yushi's words. Mo Yushi's attitude seemed to have changed slightly in this adversity. She was no longer as high and mighty as before. Chapter 73. Her change in attitude and humility made Yang Chuan feel a lot better. Millimeter. Yang Chuan smiled in satisfaction. Since we've talked about it, I don't want to hide it from you anymore. There's a myriad wonders demonic lotus sealed in this feng shui formation. The objective of our trip is that myriad wonders demonic lotus. Mo Yushi explained. Myriad wonders demonic lotus? Yang Chuan raised an eyebrow. What? You've heard of it? Mo Yushi asked in surprise. I've heard of the myriad wonders demonic lotus. It's an extremely evil item that can taint even immortals. The myriad wonders demonic lotus is sealed in this formation. No wonder it needs so many dragon veins to seal it. Yang Chuan said in thought. Myriad wonders demonic lotus? Yushi has never heard of it. I only learned about it not long ago. Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan strangely. One had to know that Mo Yushi had a high status. She could read all kinds of books in her sect, but she had never seen anything like the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus or the 1,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus. She had only heard about it from someone with a high status not long ago. However, Yang Chuan was only 17 or 18 years old, right? How did he know about the myriad wonders Demonic Lotus? I only learned about it by chance. Yang Chuan smiled but didn't explain. Mo Yushi didn't ask any more questions. I don't know what the myriad wonders demonic lotus can do, and I don't want to know. I just want it. It's very important to me. Prince Yang, please help me. Mo Yushi pleaded. Yang Chuan frowned. Prince Yang is very knowledgeable. I'm sure you've guessed my identity from Mr. Munro and the others' conversation, right? Mo Yushi smiled wryly. They call you Saintess. Yang Chuan nodded. I'm the Holy Lady of the Great Revelation Sacred Ground. My father fought for this title for me when he was still alive. He was once a Tao Lord of the Great Revelation Sacred Ground. Unfortunately, he was killed by a scoundrel. Mo Yushi bit her lips as she recalled, her eyes slightly moist. It was clear that her father's death had a great impact on Mo Yushi. Back then, when I was 16, I suddenly heard that my father had passed away. I thought that the sky had collapsed. In the past, I was the most mischievous saintess of the great revelation holy ground. When my father was alive, I could laugh and cry loudly. I could cause trouble for no reason. I could tease everyone. When my father passed away, I was sad and could only hide in the corner of the room and cry secretly. I didn't dare to cry in front of others. I didn't dare to laugh out loud because I knew that many people were waiting for me to make a fool of myself. In the past, I was suppressed by my father. After my father died, they would definitely take revenge on me. I can only be careful and use my identity as the saintess to constantly protect myself. I won't let myself be hurt and lose face for my father. Hearing Mo Yushi's narration, Yang Chuan was also slightly moved. Sacred ground? That was a huge sect. The internal relationships would definitely be complicated. One could imagine how a 16-year-old girl had slowly persevered after losing her father. Using a silk handkerchief to wipe her tears, Mo Yushi forced a smile and said, "Every time I mention my father, it's as if he's still alive. I said I wouldn't mention my father. Sorry, I forgot myself. It's nothing. Miss Mo is still a sentimental person." Yang Chuan consoled. Gently shaking her head, Mo Yushi smiled bitterly and said, "Sentimental person? Ha, I also wish that I didn't want to be the saintess. That way, I could laugh and cry without restraint. But I can't do it. I can no longer remove the identity of the saintess. The identity of the saintess is the best protection. Once you're no longer the saintess, your father's old enemies will definitely surround and kill you." Yang Chuan nodded. "When I was 20, Mohina Jin, who is Yang Jigu's father, killed the people who killed my father. He defended the dignity of the Dazhao sacred ground and also avenged my father. I owe him this favor," Mo Yushi said with a frown. "You want to obtain the 10,000 wonders bewitching lotus just to return this favor?" Yang Chuan asked doubtfully. "Yes, the Dazhao sacred ground has complicated internal relationships. Mohina Jin, he..." Mo Yushi's eyes revealed a trace of fear. "Mohina Jin can't come here. He really wants this 10,000 wonders bewitching lotus. I must use this opportunity to return this favor. If I don't return it now, it might be 100 times, 1,000 times in the future. It might even ruin my life. I don't want to drag this out any longer. Prince Yang, please help me." Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan with great sincerity. Looking at Mo Yushi's pitiful expression, Yang Chuan's eyes gradually softened. "Lord." Liu Jin's voice came from outside the tent, interrupting their thoughts. "Come in," Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. Liu Jin quickly entered and looked at Mo Yushi with a strange expression. "What's the matter?" Yang Chuan asked doubtfully. "Lord, Qing Long and White Tiger are fighting," Liu Jin said with a puzzled expression. "What? Impossible." Mo Yushi immediately stood up. Chapter 74. "Lord, that Qing Long and White Tiger are fighting," Liu Jin said in confusion. "What? Impossible." Mo Yushi immediately stood up. Mo Yushi wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and rushed out. Yang Chuan looked at Liu Jin strangely. Yang Chuan also remembered that Qing Long and White Tiger were close brothers. "Fighting?" Liu Jin nodded affirmatively. "Let's go." Yang Chuan stepped out of the tent. The moment he stepped out of the tent, a strong gust of wind blew past. Yang Chuan's clothes fluttered in the wind. 3,000 soldiers stood guard outside the tent, led by Hua Guang. His spear was pointed in a direction far away. The gust of wind blew against everyone's armor, making clang-clang sounds. Mo Yushi stood at the front, looking into the distance with a serious expression. Yang Chuan stepped forward and also looked into the distance. In the distance, where the gust of wind came from, White Tiger and Qing Long were confronting each other. Both of them struck out with their palms, pushing each other back and forth. White Tiger's back was facing everyone. They could vaguely see Qing Long's face. Qing Long's face was ferocious, revealing a strong evil intent. "Big brother, what are you doing? What's wrong?" White Tiger asked anxiously. "Get lost." Qing Long scolded angrily. "Your Highness, it's over there." For some reason, The white tiger and the azure dragon suddenly started fighting. Hu Guang immediately came forward to report. Something's not right. Yang Chuan's expression froze. At the same time, Mo Yushi squinted her eyes. Essence Qi clone? What is Qing Long trying to do? Mo Yushi asked seriously. Qing Long's body was emitting a large amount of violent green smoke. Behind Qing Long, in the corner, there was a vague figure sitting. I see it. Why is there another person? Liu Jin was shocked. No, that's Qing Long. The one sitting in the corner is Qing Long, but the one fighting White Tiger is also Qing Long. Why are there two Qing Longs? Hu Guang immediately shouted. Lord! Liu Jin looked at Yang. It's Qing Long. The one sleeping in the corner is Qing Long's real body. The one fighting White Tiger is only Qing Long's Essence Qi clone, Yang Chuan explained. Lord, what's an Essence Qi clone? Hu Guang was puzzled. Your cultivation is not high enough now. When you cultivate Qi into spirit, you can use your Essence Qi and will to form a clone. You can defend against external enemies for a short time, Yang Chuan explained. Ah! Clone! Hu Guang's eyes flashed with excitement. The world of practitioners was indeed very exciting. Hu Guang's eyes were full of yearning. However, Qing Long's current state is different. His Essence Qi clone is being controlled. Yang Chuan's eyes turned cold. You're being controlled? Mo Yushi immediately turned her head. The incubus you've been looking for finally couldn't wait any longer. He found Qing Long. Yang Chuan narrowed his eyes. Incubus? Mo Yushi's eyes lit up. Qing Long must have fallen asleep just now. The incubus took advantage of the situation and created a terrifying dreamland for Qing Long. At the same time, he tricked Qing Long into using his Essence Qi to form an Essence Qi clone. He controlled the Essence Qi clone, Yang Chuan said with certainty. Prince Yang, the incubus appeared. Can we? Mo Yushi suddenly looked at Yang Chuan with joy. Yes, it depends on Qing Long. If he can wake up from the dream, with his ability, he should be able to destroy the incubus. However, he can't realize that he's dreaming. It's too difficult. Yang Chuan said worriedly. You're not big brother? White Tiger Palm pushed Qing Long's Essence Qi clone. Chapter 75. Ha 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 ha. Qing Long's doppelganger laughed, his eyes filled with madness. However, the two of them did not fight with all their might. White Tiger was fighting because of their brotherhood, but Qing Long seemed to be waiting for something. What's behind us? Liu Jin exclaimed. In the corner of the room, the sleeping azure dragon's body suddenly emitted waves of azure light. Large amounts of green aura came out of his pores. The green aura gradually condensed into a human figure. The form of the aura became clearer and clearer. It was another Qing Long's doppelganger, an aura doppelganger. As for the sleeping Qing Long's body, after the aura leaked out of his pores, his face turned pale. He even seemed to have withered. However, even so, he did not wake up. The nightmare wants to suck out all of Qing Long's aura? Mo Yushi's face darkened. Big brother. White Tiger's face changed as he shouted. Ha 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 ha. Number One's doppelganger, who was pushing White Tiger, laughed. Open. Number One's doppelganger suddenly exerted force. Boom. A powerful aura surged out, and under the tremendous force, the White Tiger was knocked away. The powerful aura formed waves of air that blew towards the 3,000 silver armor guards. Number One's doppelganger knocked White Tiger away and punched out. His fist shone with green light, and a 10-foot fist aura smashed towards White Tiger. It was unstoppable. Roar. White Tiger's face changed, and he also punched out. Boom. The two of them collided head-on, instantly forming a ferocious shockwave. Big brother, wake up. White Tiger Jiaohu said. With me here, no one can wake him up. Ha ha ha. Number One's doppelganger laughed and stood in front of White Tiger. Number One's doppelganger fought White Tiger. A large amount of wind blew out from their battle, and waves of air raged. The newly born second doppelganger of Qing Long looked in Yang Chuan's direction with a sinister smile. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Number two's doppelganger left behind an afterimage and appeared not far away from them. Not good. Mo Yushi's expression changed as she stepped forward. With a flip of her hand, a folding fan appeared in Mo Yushi's palm. As he activated it, a white light suddenly gushed out from the folding fan and crashed toward Qinglong's second clone. Boom. Doppelganger number 2 retreated and Mo Yushi's fan was also knocked back. White Tiger, capture Qinglong's clone. Mo Yushi's eyes turned cold as she shouted. Yes. The White Tiger shouted from afar. Capture. Why don't you think about yourselves instead? The second doppelganger stood in front of Mo Yushi and laughed. As he spoke, the second doppelganger's aura flared up, and a strong wind blew. It was like the source of a storm, spewing out endless wind power. Ta-ta-ta-ta. The powerful storm forced the 3,000 soldiers to retreat. Mo Yushi turned to look at the 3,000 soldiers who were staggering and her expression changed. Incubus, get out of Qinglong's body. Mo Yushi swung her folding fan again. The folding fan expanded to 10 feet in size and smashed down with a loud bang. White light shot out in all directions. Boom. 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 The ground rumbled. Mo Yushi was taking care of the 3,000 soldiers. She quickly lured doppelganger number 2 away and away from the 3,000 soldiers. Young Master Yang, I'll have to trouble you to wake up Qinglong, Mo Yushi called out from afar. With these ants? Ha ha ha. Doppelganger number 2 said disdainfully. Mo Hailan. Mo Yushi shouted. Break for me. Doppelganger number 2 shot out endless green light again. Lord, Qinglong's doppelganger is stronger than Lady Mo and White Tiger. Hu Guang said in surprise. Chapter 76. Yang Chuan shook his head. No, Qinglong's doppelganger was controlled by the incubus. The incubus didn't care about the consequences, while White Tiger and Miss Mo didn't want to destroy Qinglong's doppelganger. They only wanted to capture it. One didn't care about the consequences, while the other cared too much about the consequences. Thus, the current situation was created. Then what should we do? Should we wake Qinglong up? Hu Guang asked anxiously. Yes, this incubus isn't simple. He actually controlled 2 Qinglong's doppelganger consecutively. This means that Qinglong isn't a match for the incubus in the dream realm. He won't be able to wake up on his own, Yang Chuan said with certainty. As they spoke, everyone looked at Qinglong's main body in the corner again. On Qinglong's main body, wisps of green qi were slowly seeping out of his pores. Not good, his qi is leaking again. Lord, he's going to form a third qi doppelganger? Liu Jin's expression changed. Let's go, Yang Chuan said with a serious expression. Braving the wind, Yang Chuan took the lead and walked towards Qinglong in the distance. The 3,000 soldiers followed closely behind him. The wind was biting cold, but the 3,000 soldiers formed a human wall and walked forward with difficulty. At this moment, the green qi coming out of Qinglong's pores had already enveloped Qinglong. It seemed to have formed a large cover around Qinglong's body. Break! Yang Chuan shouted. Yes. Hu Guang replied. Hu Guang stretched out his hand. Silver light shot out from his fist. It smashed towards the qi cover with a loud bang. Boom. Hu Guang was sent flying by the recoil. Milord. The soldiers quickly caught Hu Guang, who was sent flying back. However, the qi cover didn't tremble at all. In the distance, White Tiger and Mo Yushi were also paying attention. Seeing that Hu Guang couldn't even move the slightest bit of his spiritual essence, his face immediately changed. Ha ha ha, a bunch of ants overestimating themselves. When the third doppelganger comes out, none of those ants will be able to live. The 2 essence qi doppelganger laughed out loud. Mo Yushi's face turned cold. At the same time, Mo Yushi's pores also slowly opened, and wisps of white essence leaked out. You want to create a clone too? Don't even think about it. Qinglong's doppelganger's expression immediately changed. The aura around his body was pushed to its peak, as if he didn't care about the leakage of his essence qi. He charged towards Mo Yushi, immediately stopping Mo Yushi's doppelganger. On the other side, The battle between White Tiger and Qing Long's doppelganger number 1 was also getting more and more intense. At a corner. Those at LV6 of the Power Realm, attack! Hu Guang shouted. Yes, sir. The group of young generals answered loudly. The space wasn't big, so only 8 people could attack at the same time at most. Hu Guang and the 7 young generals punched the Essence Chi shield at the same time. Boom! The 8 of them were sent flying again, but the Essence Chi shield only trembled a little. More and more Essence Chi leaked out, and Qing Long's face was close to turning grey. The Essence Chi was even slowly condensing into a human shape. Lord, the third doppelganger is about to form. What should we do? Hu Guang said with a pale face. Once the third doppelganger is formed, we'll be the first to bear the brunt of it. Liu Jin was also extremely worried. Once the third doppelganger was formed, it would be able to attack on its own. Who would be a match for it then? Maybe it could destroy 3,000 soldiers with a flip of its hand. Liu Jin couldn't help but worry. I'll do it, Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. As he spoke, Yang Chuan took a step forward. At this moment, the new Essence Chi was becoming more and more concrete, and the outline of a human was gradually forming. Ants! I'll destroy you all right now, the blurry Essence Chi doppelganger sneered. Chapter 77. A powerful aura pressed down on everyone. It made everyone feel as if they couldn't resist it. Dang! Dang! The sound of spears stabbing into the ground could be heard. The 3,000 soldiers were trying their best to resist the powerful aura, trying their best not to be pushed down. Facing such a powerful aura, Yang Chuan didn't seem to be affected. When he took a step forward, Yang Chuan opened his eyes wide. Yang Chuan's Emperor's will from his previous life burst out through his eyes. Boom! The Emperor's will was like the heavens. Ang! Vaguely, a dragon's roar could be heard. The dragon's roar was loud and resonant. The blurry doppelganger suddenly seemed to see a golden dragon head that was 30 meters long. The dragon's horns were lofty, its eyes were furious, its whiskers were majestic, and its mouth was vast. Ang tilde 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 tilde. The golden dragon followed Yang Chuan's will and let out a furious roar. The huge dragon roar caused the vague clone to tremble violently. How? The vague clone's voice seemed to be stuck in his throat. Under the huge dragon's aura, he couldn't say anything. Ang tilde 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 tilde. The dragon roar was long. As long as Yang Chuan didn't withdraw his will, it would continue to suppress the vague clone. The vague clone trembled more and more violently. Yang Chuan's will seemed to want to completely disperse the vague clone. How is this possible? The first clone, who was fighting with the White Tiger, suddenly turned around. The second clone, who was fighting with Mo Yuxi, also turned around and looked at Yang Chuan in shock. Mortal, he's just a mortal, the second clone said in disbelief. The second clone stepped forward and was about to rush towards Yang Chuan. Who? A figure suddenly blocked in front of him. It was Mo Yuxi. Leave. You won't be able to leave, Mo Yuxi sneered. While blocking the second clone, Mo Yuxi also glanced at Yang Chuan. Her eyes flashed with surprise. Although she didn't know what the vague clone saw, Mo Yuxi understood that it was definitely a willpower attack. Yang Chuan's willpower? Why was Yang Chuan's willpower so strong? It was actually able to suppress the vague clone. Yang Chuan's image in Mo Yuxi's mind became more and more vague. Just how capable was he? On the other side, the White Tiger was also surprised, but it also quickly stopped the first clone. He waited for Yang Chuan to wake Azure Dragon up. The viciousness in Yang Chuan's eyes grew heavier and heavier. At the same time, the impact of his willpower grew stronger and stronger as it ruthlessly suppressed the blurry doppelganger. Boom! Bastard! The vague clone dispersed. It finally couldn't withstand the impact and was dispersed by Yang Chuan's willpower. However, Yang Chuan's willpower attack didn't stop. Instead, he stared at the green essence and his eyes became sharper. He took a step forward and with a great majesty, he used his willpower to force the green essence back into Qing Long's paws and back into Qing Long's body. In the distance, Mo Yushi and the white tiger instantly revealed a grateful expression. The essence that leaked out could be retrieved. However, if Yang Chuan didn't do anything now, the essence would disperse and Qinglong's vitality would be greatly damaged. Now that it was forced back into his body, even if he was still injured, his vitality wouldn't be damaged. As long as he recuperated, he would be able to recover. With every step that Yang Chuan took, a portion of the essence would be forced back into Qinglong's body. With every step that he took, the essence in the outside world became less and less. When the 3,000 soldiers saw Yang Chuan force back the essence, their faces all flushed red and their hearts surged with admiration. Yang Chuan finally walked in front of Qinglong facing the sleeping Qinglong. Yang Chuan's finger flickered with golden light and pointed at Qinglong's forehead. "Wake up!" Yang Chuan shouted. Chapter 78. Wake up! Yang Chuan shouted. Boom! Qinglong shuddered. Phew! As soon as he opened his eyes, Qinglong shuddered and immediately met Yang Chuan's eyes and Yang Chuan's will. Yang Chuan's will was a dragon-shaped emperor's will. The moment he opened his eyes, Qinglong immediately saw a huge golden dragon. Towering and angry, it looked down on all living things. Hiss! Qinglong took a deep breath and his eyes shone brightly. Then, he was stunned. Phew! Yang Chuan let out a long sigh. The light in his eyes returned to normal and he retracted his will. His face instantly turned pale. Thump thump! Yang Chuan took 2 steps back as if he couldn't stand properly. Lord Liu Jin and the others quickly rushed forward. Now that the Azure Dragon had awakened, the powerful pressure had also disappeared. The 3,000 soldiers immediately felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders. "I'm fine." Yang Chuan shook his head and smiled bitterly. At this moment, Yang Chuan's face was ghastly pale as if he was about to collapse. A bitter smile appeared on his face as he said, "Most experts' willpower can't keep up with their bodies. However, my willpower almost broke through my body. A strong will and a weak body." Yang Chuan didn't know if he should be happy or sad. After a round of suppression, Yang Chuan was weakened by his own will. On the other side, the moment Qinglong woke up, the 2 Essence Chi clones suddenly stopped moving. The white tiger stopped in its tracks, slightly startled. "He's awake." Mo Yushi's eyes lit up. "Big brother." White tiger immediately flew over. Mo Yushi also walked over. "Don't disturb him." Yang Chuan suddenly stopped the 2. At this moment, Qinglong stood there in a daze as if he was thinking about something. "What's wrong with Big Brother? Isn't he awake?" White Tiger was puzzled. Mo Yushi immediately saw Qinglong's state. In a moment of panic, she wanted to call out to Qinglong, but when the words reached her mouth, they turned into a soft sigh and she gave up. "Qinglong has been enlightened." Mo Yushi sighed. "Sudden enlightenment. That's great." The white tiger's face lit up. But when she turned around and saw Mo Yushi's disappointed expression, she immediately understood. "Saintess, this. Many thanks for the Saintess' help," White Tiger said sincerely. White Tiger was well aware of the reason why Mo Yushi wanted to find Nightmare. Now that she had awakened Qinglong, there was a high chance that she would know where Nightmare had escaped to. However, Mo Yushi gave up on that idea. Her subordinate's epiphany was hard to come by. Mo Yushi would rather not find Nightmare than ruin Qinglong's epiphany. White Tiger was touched by the way she treated her subordinate. Only such a saintess was worthy of his sincere following. "Prince Yang, are you all right?" Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan. At this moment, Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan again. She did not know what to feel. The shock that Yang Chuan brought to Mo Yushi was stronger each time. "I'm a little mentally and physically exhausted. I'll be fine after some rest." Yang Chuan shook his head. "Many thanks, Prince Yang." Mo Yushi bowed to Yang Chuan solemnly. "Don't you want to know why?" Yang Chuan asked with a smile. Looking at Yang Chuan, Mo Yushi nodded and said, "Yushi obviously wants to know, but Prince Yang just saved Qinglong. Yushi is indebted to him. As long as Prince Yang does not want to say, I will not ask." White Tiger immediately nodded in agreement. Since that is the case, I hope the three of you can keep it a secret. Yang Chuan smiled. Definitely. Mo Yu, she said solemnly. However, her gaze towards Yang Chuan became even brighter. Prince Yang saved my brother, which means he saved me. White Tiger will not tell anyone about what happened today. White Tiger patted his chest and promised. Chapter 79. Many thanks. Yang Chuan nodded. At this moment, Qinglong's body emitted bursts of green light again. In the distance, the two Essence Chi clones flew over quickly and arrived in front of Qinglong in the blink of an eye. They gradually turned into Essence Chi and surrounded Qinglong. Qinglong formed a seal with his hand. The Essence Chi around his body condensed again and gradually condensed into a 10-jong-long azure dragon. The azure dragon became clearer and clearer until it finally looked like a real dragon with distinct edges. Although it was not as domineering as Yang Chuan's will of the golden dragon, it was still vivid and lifelike. White Tiger's eyes shone with surprise. Roar. The azure divine dragon suddenly let out a dragon's roar. The dragon's roar was filled with boundless joy. Boom. The azure dragon formed from Essence Chi rushed into Qinglong's body. Qinglong withdrew his aura. Congratulations, big brother, for completely comprehending the Qinglong technique. You have condensed Qinglong. White Tiger congratulated. Mo Yu, she also looked satisfied. The azure dragon returned to normal. Naturally, his face was filled with joy. Suddenly, Qinglong bowed respectfully to Yang Chuan. Many thanks, Prince Yang. You were able to comprehend the dragon's form because of your comprehension ability. Yang Chuan smiled. No, this one cultivated the Qinglong technique. The dragon form I condensed was similar to a dragon but not a dragon. However, I was unable to completely condense it because this one has never seen a real dragon. It was really difficult just by imagining it. If not for Prince Yang, I don't know how long I would have to wait. Qinglong said sincerely. That is your good fortune. Yang Chuan smiled. Qinglong was only at the last step in condensing the dragon form. Yang Chuan's will of the golden dragon was only a catalyst, so Yang Chuan did not claim any credit. That's not all. If it weren't for Prince Yang, I might have been drained by the nightmare. I can't thank you enough. In the future, if you need my help, just let me know. Qinglong said solemnly. This is too serious. It's nothing serious. It's what I should do. Qinglong immediately smiled. Yang Chuan gently nodded. I'm not feeling well. I'll take a rest first. I won't disturb you. Yang Chuan said weakly. Prince Yang was injured because of me. Is there anything I can do to help? I have a heart-nourishing pill here. Qinglong immediately said. There's no need for that. I'll be fine after some rest. Yang Chuan smiled. Saintess, about the demonic deer we killed last time, can you? Qinglong looked at Mo Yu she expectantly. I'll leave it to you. Mo Yu she nodded. She reached out her hand and waved her sleeve. A huge block of ice appeared in front of everyone. It was obvious that Mo Yu she also had a spatial treasure. Inside the block of ice, there was a 3-foot-tall giant deer. The giant deer was majestic and colorful. Unfortunately, the giant deer was only a corpse. It was sealed inside the block of ice. This is a Peak Chi Jing Deer King. I hope that Prince Yang will accept it. Qinglong said solemnly. Peak Chi Jing Deer King? Yang Chuan raised his eyebrows. The demonic beasts he ate before were of the lowest level, only Chi Jing Deer King. But the demonic Deer King in front of him was a whole level higher than Chi Jing Deer King. Demonic beasts had a hard time cultivating. Most of them focused on cultivating their body. Therefore, with each level of cultivation, the Yuan Qi accumulated in their body would increase exponentially. Peak Chi Jing Deer King? Alright, Hu Guang, take it. This giant Deer King will be divided among the 3,000 soldiers. Hurry up and cultivate. Yang Chuan nodded. Yes. Hu Guang said excitedly. The Chi Jing Deer King had already benefited Hu Guang a lot. How much more powerful would the Chi Jing Deer King be? Moreover, the Chi Jing Deer King was at the peak of the Chi Jing Deer King. I'll share the deer meat for you. Qinglong immediately volunteered. Chapter 80. Monsters at the peak of Qi Jing had extremely thick skin. Even a group of mortals would not be able to cut it open. Yang Chuan nodded. Yang Chuan left the rest to the others. Liu Jin escorted him back to the main tent. Although the giant deer was huge, there were many soldiers. Even so, each soldier was given 1 or 2 kilograms of deer meat. This was not ordinary deer meat. It was full of qi and blood and profound qi. 1 or 2 kilograms of deer meat had to be eaten dozens of times before it would not affect the body. Saintess, I was in a state of epiphany and forgot. Qing Long was ashamed. You can't be blamed for entering a state of selflessness. I'm glad that you were able to do it. Mo Yu, she shook her head. But Azure Dragon was still a little ashamed. Don't worry. Mr. Munro may be an expert, but he won't be able to break the formation in a short time. As for Ding Wugu, that half-baked feng shui master, he will only cause more trouble. Mo Yu, she shook her head. But we still have Prince Yang. Maybe Prince Yang can really help me. Mo Yu, she sighed. Yes. Qing Long did not say anything else. Mo Yu, she looked at the main tent. She thought for a while and walked towards it again. Soon, she arrived outside the main tent. Liu Jin just came out from inside. Miss Mo. Liu Jin bowed slightly. How is Prince Yang? Mo Yu, she asked with concern. The Lord ate a few fasting pills and fell asleep. Liu Jin said. Can I see? Mo Yu, she asked. Liu Jin frowned and remained silent for a while. After all, Mo Yushi's request was a bit rude. Miss Mo, don't wake the Lord. Liu Jin thought for a while and finally said. Liu Jin wanted to stop her, but she gave up in the end. She knew that with Mo Yushi's ability, it would be easy for her to see the state of the Lord. It would be better for her to take a look under her watch. Thank you. Mo Yushi nodded. They entered the main tent. In the tent, Yang Chuan was sleeping on a mahogany bed. He was sleeping peacefully. Saintess. Qing Long was confused. Young Master Yang's mind and willpower are greatly consumed. Mo Yushi sighed slightly. It's my fault. If I didn't fall asleep, I wouldn't have fallen for the nightmare. Qing Long blamed himself. Sleeping? Mo Yushi's expression changed. Mo Yushi. Liu Jin, I want to put another bed in the tent. Achem. Liu Jin was slightly stunned. I want to enter the dream and catch the nightmare. Mo Yushi said with certainty. Saintess, you can't. You don't know you're a guest in the dream. Saintess, don't make the same mistake as your subordinate. Qing Long immediately shouted. Mo Yu, she shook her head and said, I've already made up my mind. There's no need to persuade me. Yes. Qing Long and White Tiger were helpless. Liu Jin said strangely, Miss Mo, I want to know why you want to do it here. Prince Yang's willpower is strong and his talent is extraordinary. This also means that his yin spirit is strong. It's even stronger than Qing Long's. Qing Long can attract the nightmare when he falls asleep. If Prince Yang falls asleep, the nightmare won't let him go. If I enter the dream, I might be able to help Prince Yang not be troubled by the nightmare. Mo Yu, she explained. Ah, the nightmare will find the Lord. Liu Jin's expression changed. All right, I'll have to trouble Miss Mo. However, can the two of them dream together? Liu Jin asked strangely. Yes, I've heard that some feng shui arrays can do it. The nightmare, as the creator of dreams, will definitely be able to do it. Qing Long, White Tiger, if anything happens to me, wake me up immediately. Mo Yu, she ordered. Yes. They quickly placed a large mahogany bed in the tent, opposite Yang Chuan. Mo Yu, she took a calming pill, closed her eyes, and slowly entered the dream. Seeing that Yang Chuan and Mo Yu, she had both fallen asleep, everyone slowly left the tent. The moment everyone exited the tent, a voice rang out. A human face slowly floated up from the ground between the two beds. The face revealed a mournful expression. The yin spirit that was about to enter my mouth was disturbed by you. This time, none of you can leave. The face on the ground revealed a trace of coldness. Swoosh. Yang Chuan entered the dream while he was asleep. In the dream, Yang Chuan was surrounded by people. Yang Chuan stood in the middle, thinking hard about something. Who am I? Why am I here? Yang Chuan thought vaguely. Chapter 81. In the Dreamland. Who am I? Why am I here? Yang Chuan thought in a daze. Around him was a large hall. In the hall, there were two old men standing on the left and right, surrounded by a large number of laughing guests. Yang Chuan stood in the middle of the hall in his groom's robe. Beside him stood the bride with a veil over her head. Who am I? Yang Chuan tried to recall. However, no matter how hard Yang Chuan tried, he couldn't remember. It's time for the wedding ceremony. Why are the bride and groom standing still? The bride and groom must be so happy. They forgot to do something. Young Master Yang is so lucky to marry the #1 beauty of Dream Nation, Miss Mo. What a perfect match. Young Master Yang, Miss Mo, you're a match made in heaven. The guests around them were noisy, and there were waves of blessings. Through these blessings, the two newlyweds vaguely understood who they were. The sudden memory loss could make people accept their identity quickly. It was like a dry sponge suddenly meeting water. It was quickly absorbed and a new identity was quickly confirmed. In the dream, everyone thought that everything was real. Bride and groom, it's time for the wedding ceremony. Hurry. The MC at the side immediately woke the couple up. Yes. Yang Chuan and Mo Yu Shi both nodded and agreed in their daze. First bow to heaven and earth. The MC shouted. Yang Chuan and Mo Yu Shi bowed to heaven and earth subconsciously. Second bow to your parents. The MC shouted. The two turned around and bowed respectfully to the two old men. Old Master Yang is so lucky. Yes, Old Master Yang, Old Madam Yang, you'll have grandchildren soon. The blessings around them made the two old men smile from ear to ear. Good, good. Husband and wife, bow to each other. The MC shouted again. Yang Chuan and Mo Yu Shi faced each other. With a trace of confusion and joy, the two of them bowed to each other. As they bowed, the two of them felt an inexplicable tug at their hearts. The ceremony is complete. The master of ceremonies shouted. Crackle. Firecrackers suddenly sounded. Congratulations. Congratulations to the newlywed for giving birth to a child. The entire auditorium was filled with noise, congratulations, and joy. Send them to the bridal chamber, the master of ceremonies shouted. Under the protection of a group of servants, the newlyweds gradually left the scene. Everyone, let's start the feast. Old Master Yang called out. Instantly, the atmosphere became even more lively. Yang Chuan and Mo Yu Shi were led into the bridal chamber. The bride is waiting. The groom should go and toast his friends and family, the MC explained. Okay. Mo Yu Shi and Yang Chuan agreed in a daze. After the groom left, the servants accompanied the bride in the bridal chamber. Miss, congratulations. The servant immediately congratulated. Mo Yu Shi was still a little confused. Miss, Prince Yang is a good person. You finally got what you wanted. The Yang family has been practicing medicine for generations, and Miss, our family has been a medicine merchant for generations. What a match made in heaven, the servant said happily. Yes. Mo Yu Shi nodded. She seemed to have an impression of it, but it was also the first time she heard of it. Outside, a servant accompanied Yang Chuan. Young master, this is your uncle. Let's toast to him first. Uncle is the assistant minister of the Ministry of Rights. He often helps us. The servant introduced. Okay. Yang Chuan nodded. After a round of toasting, Yang Chuan got to know everyone in the family. Chapter 82. With a hint of drunkenness, Yang Chuan was sent back to the bridal chamber by his friends and relatives. What a perfect match. The bride is really beautiful. No one in the Great Dream Dynasty can compare to her. Young Master Yang is really lucky. I heard that the current crown prince wants to take the bride as his concubine, but the difference is too big. The court opposed it, so it didn't happen. The banquet continued, and the discussions were endless. And in a corner of the banquet. In the corner, there was a person in a black robe. The hood of the black robe covered his head, and even his face couldn't be seen. His attire was extremely strange, but the people around him didn't think anything of it. The higher you climb, the worse you fall. The happier I'll make you all, the scarier the nightmare will be. You want to catch me? In the dream world, I'm the ruler. I'll break your hearts, I'll make you lose all hope. Hee. The black-robed figure laughed sinisterly. The black-robed figure was naturally the creator of the dream, the incubus. The incubus designed the dream world, and this was just the beginning. In the bridal chamber, the bride sat by the bed, and the groom walked in, slightly drunk. Wife, I'm here. Yang Chuan revealed a blissful smile. The bride was filled with anticipation and happiness. Wife, I'll lift your veil, Yang Chuan said gently. As he spoke, he gently lifted the veil. Once the veil was lifted, a devastatingly beautiful face was revealed. Yang Chuan stared at this face and was slightly dazed. Wife, you're so beautiful. Husband. Mo Yu, she whispered with a red face. Wife, let's drink cross-cupped wine, Yang Chuan said gently. Millimeter. Good wine was poured on the table beside them. The two of them held the wine, looked at each other affectionately, and drank. Wife, let's sleep. Yang Chuan stared at Mo Yushi's beautiful face and said. Millimeter. Mo Yushi nodded shyly. With a sense of happiness, Yang Chuan gently removed Mo Yushi's clothes. Wife, you're so beautiful, Yang Chuan said softly. Every second of the night was worth 1,000 gold. While Mo Yushi was bashful, the two of them formally performed the ceremony of husband and wife. After a night of traveling in the rain and staying in Dongting, the two young people both experienced the beauty of perfect harmony. It wasn't until late into the night that the two of them fell asleep with their fingers interlocked. 1 month later, at the entrance of the underworld, Father, Mother, my wife and I are going for an outing at the back of the mountain. We'll be fine. We'll be back by nightfall. Don't worry, Yang Chuan said to the two elders. Be careful on the road. Also, the few of you, protect young master and young madam. The two elders instructed the 4 household servants. Old master, madam, don't worry. The 4 household servants replied. Following that, Yang Chuan and Mo Yushi got on the carriage. The 4 household servants led the horses out of the city and towards the back of the mountain. At the city gate, the black-robed incubus appeared again and coldly looked at the departing carriage. A month of happiness is almost over. Next is the nightmare. Keik. The incubus sneered. 2 hours later, the group walked into a mountain forest. In the carriage, Yang Chuan and Mo Yushi leaned against each other as if they had endless words of love to say to each other. Their fingers interlocked, the two of them looked at the scenery outside the window. Husband, how good would it be if we could stay like this forever? Mo Yushi's eyes blurred as she softly said. We will, we definitely will. I'll definitely protect you for the rest of your life. Yang Chuan said softly. Stop. A household servant suddenly stopped the carriage. Shush. The horse let out a long neigh. At the same time, the horse's hooves kept stomping as if it was afraid of something. Chapter 83. What's going on? Yang Chuan poked his head out. Young master, it's bad. We've encountered a pack of wolves. A household servant said in fear. Indeed, following the direction of the household servant's gaze, a pack of wolves came out from a small hill not far away. 5, 10, 15, 20 wolves. A total of 20 wolves. The wolves bared their fangs. Young master. A household servant's legs turned to jelly as he cried out. Run, quickly run, Yang Chuan said anxiously. In the dreamscape, Yang Chuan and Mo Yushi were mortals. Naturally, they did not have any earth-shattering abilities. Escort young master and young madam away, a household servant shouted. Jio. With a flick of the whip, the red horse immediately neighed and galloped. Woo. A pack of wolves howled. 20 wild wolves immediately howled as they rushed over. The big hunt had begun. Quick, the household servant said in fear. Husband, why are there wolves here? Mo Yushi asked in fear. It's okay, I'm here. Yang Chuan's eyes also showed a hint of panic. Ah! A household servant's scream could be heard. Turning around, the household servant's neck had already been bitten by a pack of strong wolves. 2 or 3 wolves had stopped to eat. The remaining 17 wolves did not stop at all. They pounced even more ferociously. Run, run, the household servant said in fear. Boom! The carriage hit a big rock, and the carriage stopped immediately. After all, this was a mountain road. The road was rugged. How could the horses run recklessly? This was the territory of the wolves. Yang Chuan grabbed Mo Yushi and rushed out of the carriage. Young master, young madam, run, run, a household servant said in fear. Go up the mountain. Yang Chuan immediately decided. The 2 people and 3 servants ran quickly. However, the wolves did not slow down at all. They were getting closer and closer. Some wolves stayed behind to eat the horses, but some continued to chase after them. Ah! Another household servant was caught by a wild wolf and was quickly dismembered. Husband, husband, how could this be? Mo Yushi was so scared that she started crying. Now is not the time to care about this. Let's go. Yang Chuan's eyes were filled with panic. The shadow of death shrouded the 2 of them as they quickly fled through the forest. His heart was filled with fear. The wolf's footsteps were getting closer and closer. Ah! Another household servant was devoured by the wolves. Woo-woo! The wild wolf howled and continued its pursuit. Ouch! Mo Yushi twisted her ankle and fell down. With this twist, Mo Yushi was unable to get up. Wife! Yang Chuan hugged Mo Yushi and started running again. Husband, leave quickly. Don't worry about me, Mo Yushi cried. You and I are husband and wife. How can I leave you alone? Yang Chuan ignored her. No, there are too many wild wolves. Put me down. Otherwise, you will die too, husband. Mo Yushi cried. Husband, put me down. Woo-woo. Shut up. Yang Chuan suddenly shouted. In the dream, Yang Chuan's personality was gentle. However, in a desperate situation, his personality suddenly became overbearing. Woo! Mo Yushi was frightened by Yang Chuan's shout. However, Mo Yushi naturally understood Yang Chuan's meaning. Yang Chuan did not want to leave her behind. While being shouted at, Mo Yushi's eyes were filled with tenderness. The pack of wolves chased after them. Behind the pack of wolves, the black-robed nightmare demon rode over. Husband and wife are birds of the same forest. When disaster strikes, they fly separately. Yang Chuan, you don't want to leave by yourself. You ruined the feast of fear and despair that I prepared for Mo Yushi. I created the dream, so I make the decisions. It's still early. Pack of wolves, continue chasing, the nightmare demon said coldly. Chapter 84. Young master, there's a cave. Let's go in. The last household servant shouted. All right, let's go in. Yang Chuan carried Mo Yushi and quickly entered the cave. The inside of the cave was twisted and turned. After a slight turn, they arrived at a large space within the cave. Yang Chuan quickly carried Mo Yushi and placed her on a large rock. Woo! The wolf howled again. Go away, go away. The household servant at the entrance of the cave continuously threw rocks at the remaining 5 wolves. Husband, it looks like we're doomed this time, Mo Yushi said in fear. We'll guard this cave. Father and mother will definitely send people to save us. Yang Chuan was abnormally calm at this moment. Ah! Another scream came from the entrance of the cave. The last household servant had died. Yang Chuan looked over and saw the last 5 wolves tearing and devouring the last household servant. The scene was extremely bloody. In the blink of an eye, the household servant was torn to pieces. Mo Yushi seemed to have guessed it as well. Husband, hurry up and leave. The wolves are dividing the food. Hurry up and run from the side. Leave this place quickly, Mo Yushi said with a pale face. Ridiculous. Run. What will you do if I run? Yang Chuan immediately shouted. Otherwise, it will be too late. I'll carry you out. If we're leaving, we'll leave together. I promised you. I will protect you for the rest of my life. Yang Chuan refused. No, carry me. No one will be able to escape. You have to run alone. You have to escape. Mo Yushi said anxiously. You want me to leave? Yang Chuan stared into Mo Yushi's eyes. Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan affectionately. Finally, she nodded solemnly, as long as husband is fine. Looking at Mo Yushi, Yang Chuan also showed a trace of sadness. In the end, he shook his head and said, even if I go out, I may not be able to escape. Mo Yushi shook her head and said, there's still a chance. Husband, you should leave quickly. Quickly. Yang Chuan stared at Mo Yushi and closed his eyes. Suddenly, he raised his head and took a deep breath. Then, he opened his eyes and stared at Mo Yushi's sorrowful face. A rare smile appeared on his face. I, Yang Chuan, have a wife like this. What more can a husband ask for? Husband. Mo Yushi pushed Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan shook his head lightly. With me here, no one will be able to hurt you. No one is allowed to. But, husband, it's going to be too late. Mo Yushi said in despair. Yang Chuan's eyes flashed with determination. He hugged Mo Yushi and kissed Mo Yushi's cherry lips. He kissed her fiercely. This kiss caused Mo Yushi's fear to subside slightly. Remember, you are my, Yang Chuan's woman. Live well. After I die, you will be my widow, Yang Chuan said domineeringly. As he spoke, he placed the dazed Mo Yushi against the wall. He looked around the cave and found a sharp stone. Husband, what are you doing? Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan in confusion. I said before that I will protect you for the rest of your life. The wolves are coming in. I will go out and kill them, Yang Chuan said fiercely. No, husband, you don't know martial arts. Don't go. You won't be able to kill them, Mo Yushi said anxiously. Turning around, Yang Chuan looked at Mo Yushi and smiled tragically. I, Yang Chuan, will not watch my woman die. Once the wolves are full, they will not attack people. If I go out, won't I be able to kill them? But at least we can feed them, Yang Chuan said with a tragic smile. After speaking, Yang Chuan walked out of the cave. I can't kill them, but at least I can feed them. I can't kill them, but at least I can feed them. Yang Chuan's words echoed in Mo Yushi's mind. At this moment, Mo Yushi was completely dumbfounded. Feed the wolves? Feed them with what? Feed them with herself? Mo Yushi's heart felt like it was being squeezed. Her nose suddenly felt sour. No. Mo Yushi cried. Chapter 85. Yang Chuan stepped out of the cave with a sharp stone in his hand. Outside the cave, the 5 wolves were devouring the last household servant. Yang Chuan's expression changed as he grabbed the stone stick. Far away, in the forest, the King of Nightmares kept chanting, "You don't know martial arts, you don't have the strength to truss a chicken, you're just a weak scholar. You don't know martial arts, you don't have the strength to truss a chicken, you're just a weak scholar. You don't know martial arts, you don't have the strength to truss a chicken, you're just a weak scholar." He chanted it over and over again. Yang Chuan, who was far away, was also affected by the Nightmare Lord's dream. I don't know martial arts. What should I do? I'm just a scholar, 5 wolves, 5 heads. Yang Chuan seemed to have received a hint and was slightly flustered. Husband, don't, husband. Mo Yushi's cries came from the cave behind him. The flustered Yang Chuan heard his wife's cries and his expression froze. So what if I don't know martial arts? So what if I'm just a weak scholar? Even if I don't have the strength to truss a chicken, I'll still kill the wolves. Whoever dares to hurt my wife, I'll fight them to the death. Yang Chuan's expression became ferocious. Without waiting for the 5 wolves to come over, Yang Chuan took the lead and rushed forward. Die. Yang Chuan said with a ferocious expression. Kai. The sharp stone knife suddenly pierced through a wolf. The King of Nightmares looked at this scene and said in surprise, "How can this be? How can he have such a strong will?" In the dream I designed, you were gentle and weak, how can you be so fierce? In reality, what kind of person are you? Woo woo. The other 4 wolves stopped eating and looked at Yang Chuan. Come on. Come on. Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me, Yang Chuan said fiercely. Woo woo. The 4 wolves roared. One of the wolves came and pounced on Yang Chuan. Boom. Yang Chuan was pushed to the ground. The stone saber in his hand was also thrown away. However, Yang Chuan hugged the wolf. With one bite, Yang Chuan viciously bit the wolf's throat. Puff. Yang Chuan fiercely bit the wolf's throat, and it died with a whimper. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The other 3 beasts roared. It was as if they couldn't believe that a weak person could bite a wolf to death. The King of Nightmares anxiously formed hand seals. You don't have the guts, you're afraid of the wild wolves, you're afraid of the wild wolves, you're powerless to fight back. You have no guts, you are afraid of wild wolves, you are afraid of wild wolves, you are powerless to resist. You have no guts, you are afraid of wild wolves, you are afraid of wild wolves, you are powerless to resist. The King of Nightmares kept hypnotizing Yang Chuan with his dreams. He wanted Yang Chuan to accept this mentality. Rumble. Rumble. The 3 wolves rushed over together and bit Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan was hypnotized by the King of Nightmares, and he also felt a little timid. Don't come over, Yang Chuan said in fear. However, just as a wolf claw scratched Yang Chuan's arm, the bone-scraping pain once again aroused Yang Chuan's instinctive ferocity. Evil beast, you're courting death. Enduring the pain, he grabbed a stone on the ground and threw it at the head of one of the wolves. Perhaps it was instinctive, but Yang Chuan aimed at the wolf's vital point, the skull. Boom. The wolf suddenly felt dizzy. Roar. The other 2 wolves also started to bite Yang Chuan. His ferocity was aroused, and Yang Chuan became more and more bloodthirsty. Evil beast, you're courting death, death. Yang Chuan shouted fiercely. Rumble. Chapter 86. The weak Yang Chuan, at this moment, seemed to possess divine strength as he fought with the 3 wolves. Even though Yang Chuan's body was bleeding profusely and his wounds were increasing, he did not cry out in pain. There was only his ferocious nature that was constantly awakened. Rumble. The cave entrance was in a mess, smoke and dust flying everywhere. In the distance, the incubus continuously tried to hypnotize Yang Chuan, but the more he tried, the more ferocious Yang Chuan became. How can this be? The incubus looked at Yang Chuan in shock. I can't force him anymore. If I force him, he will break through the dream barrier and awaken. What kind of willpower is this? He's so domineering even in his dreams. What kind of person have I met? The incubus wanted to cry but had no tears. In the cave. Mo Yu she heard the sounds of battle outside the cave and knew that Yang Chuan was fighting with the wolves. But her legs were bruised and she could not move at all. Husband. Mo Yu she's tears flowed uncontrollably. Mo Yu she's heart felt like it was being torn apart. She prayed that Yang Chuan would be fine, but she knew that it was impossible. Her husband was just a weak scholar, but he was facing a pack of starving wolves. Was there a way out? Wang. With a final loud sound, the outside world suddenly became silent. There was no sound from the outside world. Mo Yu she froze, thinking that Yang Chuan had died. For her, he fed himself to the wolves. I definitely will. I will protect you for the rest of your life. With me around, no one will dare to hurt you. No one will. Remember, you are Yang Chuan's woman. Live well. After I die, you will be my widow. I, Yang Chuan, will not watch my woman die. When the wolves are full, they will not attack people. If I go out, won't I be able to kill them? But at least I can feed them. The short memory made Mo Yu she understand what it meant to be heartbroken. Husband, I will always be a member of the Yang family. Mo Yu she said in despair. After he finished speaking, he fell into a deep slumber due to mental and physical exhaustion. After an unknown period of time, Mo Yu she vaguely heard some voices. Young master, young madam, where are you? Young miss, young master, where are you? A faintly discernible voice came from afar. Mo Yu, she suddenly remembered everything. She thought of the situation she was in and the fact that Yang Chuan had died for her. Her vision darkened and she almost fainted again. She forced herself not to collapse, but her face was already covered in tears. Miss, where are you? The voice from the outside world sounded again. Here. Mo Yu, she held back her tears and shouted. Over there, Mrs. Voice. Over there, quick, quick, quick. An urgent voice called out. Ah, young master, let's go in and take a look. When the servant and household servant rushed into the cave, they immediately saw Mo Yu. She. Miss, that's great. Miss, you're fine. The servant rushed over. Mo Yu, she revealed a bitter smile. Fine. Her husband was dead, how could she be fine? Miss, that's great. You and young master are still alive. That's great. The servant said excitedly. Young master? Husband is still alive? Mo Yu, she quivered. Yes, we were really shocked just now. Young master is injured all over, but he's still breathing. He's still alive. Young master is fine, you're fine too. That's great, that's great. The servant said. Husband is still alive? I want to see husband, I want to see husband. Mo Yu, she was so emotional that she danced with joy. Tears flowed from her eyes like water. Chapter 87. After the incident at the back of the mountain, the couple's relationship improved and they became even more affectionate. Outside the Yang Manor, the King of Nightmares' face twitched. I am the greatest King of Nightmares. I am the creator of nightmares. Is this a nightmare? This is a wet dream. Damn it, I will make you all despair. Me. The King of Nightmares said gloomily. In the blink of an eye, several months passed. In the backyard of the Yang Manor, Yang Chuan was practicing calligraphy in the yard. Mo Yu, she was standing beside him with her big belly. Husband, your calligraphy is so beautiful. Mo Yu, she said gently. I don't know why, but my calligraphy has been getting better and better. It's like I was born with it. Yang Chuan said with a smile. Ah. Mo Yu, she frowned. What's wrong? Yang Chuan immediately went to help her. The little guy kicked me. Mo Yu, she touched her belly lovingly. Brat, how dare you kick your mother? When you come out, I'll definitely spank you. Yang Chuan said in all seriousness. You're so annoying. Mo Yu, she said with a smile. Haha, I am supporting you. Yang Chuan said with a smile. Husband, do you want a boy or a girl? Mo Yu, she asked expectantly. I want both. I like both. Yang Chuan said while touching Mo Yu, she's belly. Then, why don't you give the child a name? Mo Yu, she said. I have already thought of a name. It will be Dong En. Yang Dong En. Thanks to that cave, we wouldn't be here today and there wouldn't be a Dong En. Yang Chuan said gently. Yes, Yang Dong En. Mo Yu, she said gently. Miss, young master, bad news. A maid hurriedly ran into the backyard. What's wrong? Yang Chuan frowned and looked at the maid. His Majesty passed away a month ago. Now, the Crown Prince has ascended to the throne, the maid said in a panic. Crown Prince? Mo Yu, she was confused. Miss, have you forgotten? Before you and the son-in-law got married, you met the Crown Prince at a poetry gathering. When the Crown Prince saw the young miss, he was stunned by her beauty and swore an oath to marry her. At that time, the court objected, but the young miss didn't take it seriously. However, the Crown Prince didn't forget. Furthermore, he's now the emperor. So what? I am now a member of the Yang family. What else can he do? Mo Yu, she was puzzled. Yes, the new emperor has already sent someone to meet your parents. I came here secretly. His Majesty hasn't given up yet. It seems. The maid said anxiously. Like what? Mo Yu, she started to panic. It seems like they want to take the young miss back. The maid said. Ah. Mo Yu, she's expression changed. Bastard. Yang Chuan slammed his palm on the stone table. Miss, I'm just here to report. I'll go back first. The maid quickly left. Husband. Mo Yu, she looked at Yang Chuan. Don't worry. No one can break us apart, Yang Chuan said in a low voice. But, he's the emperor. Who can be more powerful than him in the great dream country? Mo Yu, she said sadly. So what if he's the emperor? No one can, Yang Chuan said in a low voice. Mo Yu, she nodded. After thinking for a while, a cold glint flashed across her eyes. Husband, the Mo family is a merchant of medicinal herbs. Actually, the Mo family also has a treasure. If there's really no way out, we'll fight to the death. We'll get rid of the emperor first. Treasure? Yang Chuan looked at Mo Yu doubtfully. It's passed down from my ancestors. I think it's a poisonous spiritual herb that my ancestors dug up in the deep mountains. It's called Ghost City grass. Mo Yu, she thought for a while and said. Chapter 88. Ghost City Grass. The so-called Ghost City grass is when it is ignited in a city. The poisonous smoke formed can quickly kill the people in the city, turning the city into a ghost city. So powerful. Yang Chuan was surprised. When the time comes, as long as it is ignited within 10 miles of the new emperor, I guarantee that he will die. Mo Yu, she's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. We can try, let me see. Yang Chuan was instantly interested. Okay, I will send someone to get it immediately. Mo Yu, she said immediately. 4 hours later, in Yang Chuan's room. Husband, it is in this jade box. Mo Yu, she said. In the jade box, there was a bunch of palm-sized purple grass. Ghost City grass, extremely poisonous. Mo Yu, she looked at the grass in the box with satisfaction. Yang Chuan, on the other hand, looked at his left wrist. On his left wrist, there was a seed-like birthmark. It was not a big deal as a birthmark, but this birthmark was flashing with green light. It was flashing and it was extremely strange. Why is it like this? Yang Chuan looked at the birthmark with a complicated expression. Flashing? Why is it flashing? Isn't this a birthmark? Yang Chuan stared at the birthmark and kept thinking. He seemed to be in a daze. Husband. Mo Yu, she looked at Yang Chuan strangely. Yang Chuan waved his hand, indicating that Mo Yu, she should not disturb him. Mo Yu, she obediently stopped talking. Yang Chuan kept thinking, as if he was about to think, but there was always a layer of fog. What is it? I think I have some impression, but why can't I remember? Yang Chuan frowned and thought hard. He pondered for an entire 2 hours. Mo Yu, she waited patiently. Poison ivy. Yang Chuan abruptly raised his head, his eyes shining brightly. Boom. A large amount of memories rushed into Yang Chuan's mind. Memories, more and more memories. Yang Chuan's face gradually relaxed. The light in his eyes grew brighter and brighter. On the other hand, Mo Yu, she waited worriedly by the side. Seeing Yang Chuan's expression, Mo Yu, she immediately revealed a worried expression. She wanted to call out to Yang Chuan several times to ask what was wrong, but she was also an extremely intelligent person, so she restrained her curiosity. Yang Chuan continued to recall everything. Poison ivy? Ha 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 ha. Yang Chuan suddenly burst into laughter. He let out a long sigh, as if his entire body had become much more comfortable. The king of nightmares found me. Dream? What a dream realm, Yang Chuan said with a solemn expression. Husband, what's wrong? Mo Yu, she finally couldn't hold it in any longer. Turning his head, Yang Chuan looked at Mo Yu Shi with a serious expression. Husband, why are you looking at me like that? I. Mo Yu, she was frightened. Seeing Mo Yu Shi's fear, Yang Chuan's expression also eased. Thinking about his current identity, he revealed a bitter smile. Saintess Yu Shi? Yang Chuan called out tentatively. Husband, what did you say? Don't scare me. Mo Yu, she said worriedly. Looking at the frightened Mo Yu Shi, Yang Chuan's expression was complicated. After thinking for a while, he decided not to awaken Mo Yushi's memories. Don't worry, I'm here, nothing will happen. Big dream Emperor? Here's nothing, we can definitely get through this. Moreover, since I'm awake, then I'll capture the King of Nightmares, Yang Chuan said with certainty. Husband, what did you say? Why can't I understand? Mo Yushi asked curiously. You don't need to understand, just leave everything to me. Yang Chuan comforted her. Okay. Mo Yushi gently leaned into Yang Chuan's embrace. Yang Chuan hugged Mo Yushi with a complicated expression. Although it was just a dream, and everything would be treated as if nothing had happened after waking up, this memory might never be erased. A few months of being husband and wife left a deeper impression than many vows of eternal love. Yang Chuan could wake Mo Yushi up in a dream, but what about after waking her up? How would the two of them interact? Once the King of Nightmares discovered something unusual and gave himself away, it would be difficult to capture the King of Nightmares. Therefore, Yang Chuan kept it a secret for the time being. Chapter 89. In the Dreamscape. Great Dream Dynasty's Imperial Palace. Great Dream Emperor was clad in a dragon robe. His face was handsome and his body was sturdy. At this moment, he was anxiously looking at a black-robed man. State Preceptor, that Mo family actually has the Ghost City grass, what should we do? Great Dream Emperor asked worriedly. Does your majesty want Mo Yushi? The Dream Demon smiled faintly. Of course, if it wasn't for the throne, I would have forced Mo Yushi to be my concubine. Now, I am the Great Dream Emperor. In the entire Great Dream Dynasty, I am the most powerful. What I want is mine, the Great Dream Emperor said solemnly. Yes, you are the Great Dream Emperor, the entire Great Dream Dynasty is yours. Mo Yushi must also be yours. The Dream Demon hypnotized. Yes, I must have Mo Yushi. Yang family? I will slaughter their entire family. If Mo Yushi doesn't agree to be my concubine, I will kill her parents and exterminate her 9 generations, the Great Dream Emperor said coldly. As for the Ghost City grass? They have it, so do I. I can use half of my strength to create a spiritual object that can restrain the Ghost City grass, the Dream Demon said solemnly. In the Dreamscape, the Dream Demon had to pay a price to create a dream. To break the balance, there must be a price. Good, I will trouble State Preceptor. State Preceptor, go create the spiritual object. Ha 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 ha. The Great Dream Emperor laughed loudly. Yang Manor, Yang Chuan's study room. Mo Yushi was gently grinding ink with her big belly. Yang Chuan was looking at a map on the table. The map was very strange, only the center of the map was marked. The rest of the map was blank. Husband, you have been looking at this Great Dream Dynasty map for a long time, Mo Yushi asked curiously. For a long time? Heh. Yang Chuan smiled faintly. After laughing, Yang Chuan looked at the Great Dream Dynasty map again. His eyes narrowed slightly as he thought in his heart, a dream demon creates a dream, but this dream is mine. Disrupting my dreamscape? Demonizing my dreamscape? Mph, how can I allow others to dictate my dreamscape? Husband, the ink is ready, Mo Yushi said gently. Thank you for your hard work, wife, Yang Chuan said. It's not hard at all. Mo Yushi said gently. Yang Chuan picked up the brush, dipped it in ink, and looked at the map again. Nightmares demonize my dreamscape so that I can't interfere. I'll start a new dream, expand the territory of the dream world, creating a world with a brush stroke. In reality, that's a legendary realm. I can't do it, but this isn't reality. This is a dream. In my own dreamland, I can do everything I can imagine. Yang Chuan's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. Picking up the brush, Yang Chuan wrote a large character on the east side of the Great Dream Dynasty's map. Qin. As soon as the word Qin was spoken, there was a lot of noise in the map. Hiss. Roar. Kill. Endless neighs of horses and the roars of thousands of soldiers could be heard. The whole area around the word Qin seemed to be emitting rays of black light, slowly eroding an area that was about the size of the Great Dream Dynasty's territory. This, husband, why is there a sound in the map? Mo Yu, she said in surprise. This is the east of the Great Dream Dynasty. A dynasty called Qin has been born. Thousands of soldiers and horses, listen to my command. Ah! Mo Yu, she was confused. Yang Chuan didn't stop. Instead, he continued to write around the Great Dream Dynasty's map. Zhao, Han, Wei, Wu, Shu, Tang, Ming, Qin, Zhao, Han, Wei, Shu, Wu, Tang, Ming. As soon as the 8 words appeared, they formed 8 different colored maps, surrounding the Great Dream Dynasty's territory in the center. Chapter 90. Hiss. Roar. Kill. I'm invincible. In the map, the roars of countless soldiers could be heard. Waves of murderous aura seemed to be spewing out from the map. The 8 great dynasties had a grand and boundless aura. Yang Chuan looked at this scene with satisfaction. Mo Yushi, who was at the side, hugged Yang Chuan's arm, her face full of fear. Husband. This. Mo Yu, she was so frightened that she did not know what to say. Don't ask why. You just need to know that I won't harm you. Yang Chuan said gently. In the past, even though Mo Yu, she was Yang Chuan's wife, she might have been suspicious and anxious. However, after escaping from the wolf's mouth, Mo Yu, she no longer had any doubts and nodded naturally. These days, you've been acting a little different. I don't understand. However, I believe you. You told me not to ask, so I won't ask. Mo Yu, she said gently. Millimeter, you'll understand in the future. Yang Chuan said gently. Millimeter. Mo Yu, she leaned on Yang Chuan's shoulder emotionally. Qin, Zhao, Han, Wei, Shu, Wu, Tang, Ming, 8th King, listen to my command. Gather all of our forces and ambush the Great Dream Empire. Wait for my command. Yang Chuan shouted at the map. Roar. In the map, there was a roar in unison. 2 months later, in the palace of the Great Dream Dynasty, the emperor of the Great Dream Dynasty was having a secret meeting with an important official. Your Majesty, the neighboring countries have been restless recently. They seem to be making a big move. According to the reports, the 8 great kingdoms are preparing their troops and preparing for war at any time. Do you know where they're going? Great Dream Emperor asked. I don't know. Since you don't know, then investigate further. I don't have time to care about this now. Great Dream Emperor said. Your Majesty, how can you ignore the country's affairs for a woman? How dare you? Great Dream Emperor glared. Your Majesty, for the sake of Dream Country, even if I die, I will make your Majesty realize that Mo Yushi is a disaster. Bastard, I don't need you to teach me about my matters. Scram. Great Dream Emperor shouted. Your Majesty. The officials all knelt down. Men, drag him away, Great Dream Emperor shouted. A group of guards quickly dragged the ministers away. Just as the officials were about to leave, King of Nightmares dragged his frail body into the room. Your Majesty. Nightmare handed over a jade box. The Great Dream Emperor took the jade box. Inside the jade box was a fist-sized red bead. The red bead emitted a faint red light. Your Majesty, this is the poison-fixing bead that I have condensed using half of my power. Wherever the poison-fixing bead is located, the poison-fixing bead will neutralize all poisonous fog and smoke within a 10-mile radius. Nightmare said proudly. Good. With this poison-fixing bead, I don't need to fear the assassination of that ghost city grass. I can use all my strength to snatch Mo Yushi. Great Dream Emperor said excitedly. Not only that, when Yang Chuan took Mo Yushi, we must torture him even more. Not only physically, but also mentally. We must kill his entire family in front of him, so that he will be in so much pain that he will wish he was dead and lose all hope. The Nightmare Lord said. Yes, I want him to die miserably. Great Dream Emperor nodded. And Mo Yushi, Your Majesty. Back then, she didn't know what was good for her. Your Majesty must punish her. Nightmare continued. That's right, I want to kill Yang Chuan in front of her. Great Dream Emperor nodded like a puppet. Chapter 91. All right, Your Majesty, go all out. The incubus smiled evilly. Men. The Great Dream Emperor shouted. An official walked in. Pass down the order to the military town of Mingju City. Capture everyone from the Yang family and the Mo family. The Great Dream Emperor shouted. Your Majesty, do you want to capture everyone? Pass down the order to the military town. I'm worried that if the commotion is too big, the Yang family and the Mo family will receive the news in advance and escape capture. The official frowned slightly. It's fine. The entire Mingju city is filled with my spies. The Yang family and the Mo family won't be able to escape. The incubus smiled evilly. That's good. The official replied. Not good. The incubus's expression suddenly changed. Imperial tutor, what's wrong? The Great Dream Emperor was puzzled. The incubus closed his eyes for a moment and suddenly opened them. How is that possible? Why are all the spies I set up in Mingju City dead? Who died? I know. It must be the Ghost City grass. The incubus immediately exclaimed. I have the poison fixing pearl. Why should I be afraid of the Ghost City grass? The Great Dream Emperor said. The incubus turned to look at the poison fixing pearl. His face twitched and a wave of depression surged from his heart. The poison fixing pearl is useless. The incubus said sullenly. This spiritual item had consumed half of his strength. The incubus actually didn't need it before it could be used. The incubus was extremely conflicted. Why did he ignite the Ghost City grass? Is Yang Chuan crazy? Why did I meet such a person who doesn't follow common sense? Nothing good has happened since I entered this dream. The incubus was depressed. Your Majesty, there's an urgent report from Mingju. A voice came from outside the hall. Come in. The Great Dream Emperor shouted. Soon, an official entered the hall. Your Majesty, the soldiers and civilians of Mingju City have rebelled. The official said. Rebelled? The Great Dream Emperor's expression changed. Mingju City, on top of the southern city tower. Yang Chuan placed his hands on the railings of the city tower and stared into the distance. Outside the city, an army of 100,000 was already gathered in all directions, eyeing Mingzhou's city gate tower with hostility. There was a commander's platform in the center. Great Dream Emperor, dressed in dragon robes, sat on a dragon throne, staring coldly at Yang Chuan. Behind Great Dream Emperor was a black-robed nightmare demon. Roar, roar, roar. The army of 100,000 roared, their roars shaking the heavens. The Great Dream Emperor stretched out his hand, and the three armies immediately quieted down. Yang Chuan, how dare you? Great Dream Emperor shouted. Who do you think you are? Yang Chuan said indifferently. Bastard, when I break through the city, I'll definitely cut you into 1,000 pieces. Great Dream Emperor shouted coldly. Destroy the city? Mingju City was 80 feet high and 30 feet thick. How could it be breached? With just the few of you? Yang Chuan said disdainfully. How long can you defend? The food in the city can support you for a month at most, right? Great Dream Emperor said coldly. Yang Chuan glanced disdainfully at Great Dream Emperor and ignored him. Instead, he looked at the black-robed Nightmare Demon. Nightmare Demon, puppet Great Dream Emperor, interesting, right? Yang Chuan said indifferently. You know me? You're awake. The Nightmare Demon was shocked. What do you think? Yang Chuan said coldly. He stared at the Nightmare Demon. How can you be awake? How can you be awake? Why can't I be awake? Yang Chuan said with a faint smile. I know, no wonder you wanted to use the Ghost City grass to poison the entire Mingju City. The Nightmare Demon shouted. This is my dream, but there are traces of you everywhere. Only by cleaning Mingju City can I make you lose control of it. Yang Chuan said indifferently. Chapter 92. Humph, the dream realm is so big. What is a bright prefecture city? I control the entire dream realm. Great dream dynasties, various provinces and towns will soon have an endless army rushing over. Once bright prefecture city is breached, you and Mo Yushi will become my prisoners. As long as I don't let you wake up, you'll live in this world forever. I'll slowly play you to death, Nightmare said hatefully. While talking, Great Dream Emperor and the 100,000 soldiers were all like puppets. Clearly, it was as Yang Chuan said, all controlled by Nightmare. You control the world? An endless army? Yang Chuan smiled faintly. Reporting to your majesty, the great Qin state in the east has invaded with all its might. Now, they have already captured 16 cities of our Yong prefecture, the scout said in panic. Great Qin. How did it come to Great Qin? Nightmare's face fell. Great Zhao invaded with all its might, 12 cities fell. Great Wei invaded with all its might, 14 cities fell. Reports of defeat came in continuously. On the commander platform, Great Dream Emperor's expression changed repeatedly. Nightmare was also abnormally shocked. Impossible, 8 countries invading at the same time? Why at this time? Nightmare said in disbelief. Suddenly lifting his head, he saw Yang Chuan smiling coldly. You created 8 countries again? This is impossible. Nightmare cried out in shock. Dreaming, naturally, whatever I want, I have it. Ha 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 ha. Yang Chuan said with a laugh. The King of Nightmares looked at Yang Chuan in shock. How much do you know about my nightmare race? Nightmare said worriedly. How much do you know? Just as you said, if no one in the outside world woke me up and you didn't let me wake up, even if I died in the dream, I wouldn't wake up and would only enter a deeper level of the dream realm. Similarly, in the real world, if I don't wake up, you can forget about leaving my dream realm too. Now, even if you let me wake up, I won't agree either. Yang Chuan said with a glare. How did you know? Nightmare asked in disbelief. I also know that in order to enter my dreamscape, you fused your power with my dreamscape. In other words, you fused with the Great Dream Dynasty. The more cities the Great Dream Dynasty loses, the more power you lose. The Nightmare clan created nightmares for others. Today, I'll also create a nightmare for you. Yang Chuan smiled. No, it's impossible for you to know the secret of my Nightmare clan. Impossible. The Nightmare Lord cried out in shock. The Great Qin army did not stop and occupied another 2 cities of our dynasty. With the loss of one city after another, the power of the Nightmare Lord became weaker and weaker. Attack the city. Attack the city by force. The King of Nightmares screamed. Attack the city. Great Dream Emperor commanded like a puppet. Roar. The 100,000 strong army charged towards Mingju City. Guard the city gates strictly. Fire arrows from the city tower, Yang Chuan ordered. Yes. A large number of soldiers on the city gate tower responded loudly. Yang Chuan glanced at the furious Nightmare Lord in the distance and smiled. Why is it like this? I'm the greatest Nightmare clan. I'm the Nightmare Lord. In the dream, I should be the one in charge. Why is it like this? The Nightmare Lord muttered to himself. Inside the city, Yama Manor. Mo Yushi's pained cries rang out continuously. Young madam, put in more effort. Put in more effort. It's about to come out. Mo Yushi cried out in pain. Young madam, put in more effort. I can already see the head. It's about to come out. It's about to come out. Chapter 93. On the City Gate Tower. Yang Chuan coldly stared at Nightmare Lord. The 2 armies clashed. Although they had siege weapons, Yang Chuan's army was endless. In the dream, Yang Chuan controlled Bright Province City. As long as Yang Chuan moved his brush, he could create an endless army. The army outside the city could not enter. The Great Han has invaded 3 more cities of our dynasty. Reporting. The Great Tang has invaded 6 more cities of our dynasty. In the dream, time was a hazy concept. News that should have taken a month or even several months was now coming in an unending stream. The constant reports of defeat did not seem to give Nightmare Lord a chance to catch his breath. Impossible. Impossible. Nightmare Lord Jiaohu cried out. Reporting. The capital of the Great Dream Empire has been occupied by the Great Qin. Another scout sorrowfully cried out. What? Nightmare Lord's body swayed as he felt dizzy. Reporting. The Great Tang army has appeared 50 li to the west. Reporting. The Great Zhao army has appeared 40 li to the south. Reporting. More and more bad news came. Bright Province City had yet to be taken, but the armies of the 8 kingdoms had already surrounded it. The armies of the 8 kingdoms slowly spread out, and it was possible to see a cloud of dust rising from all sides. No, no. Nightmare Lord roared in disbelief. Kill. Yang Chuan roared. The gates of Bright Province City opened, and a large number of soldiers charged out, joining the armies of the 8 kingdoms. They began to slaughter the few remaining soldiers. How could this be? State Preceptor, what do we do? The Emperor of the Great Dream Empire asked. What could Nightmare Lord do? After all, this was Yang Chuan's dream, and he was just an outsider. While Yang Chuan did not know how to control the dream, he could throw it into chaos. But now, Yang Chuan's will was extremely firm, and he could not interfere. Kill. With 1 million soldiers, the Great Dream Empire's last bit of strength was incapable of resisting. In the blink of an eye, all of them were about to die. Yang Chuan stood on top of the city gate tower and coldly watched the scene below. Yang Chuan was best at fighting on the battlefield. In his dream, he was naturally invincible. The Great Dream Dynasty was completely under the control of Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan stared at the King of Nightmares. At this moment, the incubus was surrounded by battle cries, but no one rushed to him. With the fall of Great Dream Dynasty, Nightmare Lord knew that all his plans had failed. Even in a dream, there's a day when I'm defeated. I'm Nightmare Lord. Nightmare Lord said bitterly. Yang Chuan, I can't do anything to you, and you can't do anything to me. The King of Nightmares said with hatred. After saying that, the Nightmare Lord soared into the sky and was about to flee toward the south. You could still borrow the power of Dreamfuse to escape, but now, the Great Dream Dynasty has been destroyed, and the Dream Realm is under my control. You want to leave? Yang Chuan glared. Roar tilde 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 tilde. In Yang Chuan's eyes, 1,000 Zhonglong golden dragon rushed out. In the dream, Yang Chuan's will was the golden dragon. It was as if the golden dragon had a physical form, and its dragon might was boundless and invincible. The King of Nightmares, who was fleeing, turned his head and immediately saw the domineering golden dragon. Cultivating the spirit and returning to the void. You are an emptiness realm expert. How is this possible? How can you be an emptiness realm expert? The King of Nightmares cried out in surprise. Roar. The golden dragon grabbed the King of Nightmares with its claws, and immediately, the King of Nightmares had nowhere to run. The golden dragon flew back and circled around Yang Chuan. Chapter 94. Refining the spirit back to the void. Emptiness realm expert? That's impossible. Aren't you immortal? The King of Nightmares screamed. I can't do anything to you. Yang Chuan sneered. That feng shui master lied to me. He said a virtual realm expert wouldn't enter a feng shui formation. How did you get in? He lied to me. Ah. The King of Nightmares screamed. A feng shui master? You mean the feng shui formation you're guarding? Yang Chuan asked. Senior, please spare me. I can be your servant. The King of Nightmares cried out in panic. Yang Chuan shook his head. Servant? I don't trust you. No, I can swear an oath, Senior. The King of Nightmares screamed. Swear? I don't believe that. Besides, if you don't die, The feng shui formation we're trapped in won't break. Yang Chuan shook his head. The golden dragon opened its mouth and spewed golden flames at the King of Nightmares. No. Ah! The King of Nightmares screamed in agony. The King of Nightmares' body seemed to melt under the golden flames. The power of the virtual realm. The King of Nightmares couldn't resist it at all. Yang Chuan looked on coldly. Rumble. The dreamscape shook as if an earthquake had struck. As the King of Nightmares died, the entire dreamscape seemed to be on the verge of destruction. Inside the city, in hell. War. Congratulations, young madam. It's a son. It's a son. The midwife ran to Mo Yushi with the baby in her arms. Mo Yushi looked weak. Her hair was plastered to her face with sweat. She looked at the baby the midwife handed her. Her face was full of love. Dong Yen, my Dong Yen. Mo Yushi hugged the baby weakly. Rumble. Suddenly, the room began to shake. Ah, not good. It's an earthquake. The household servant screamed. Mo Yushi looked around in shock. War. The baby cried as if he was afraid of the end of the world. Ah. The golden dragon's golden flames completely melted the nightmare demon, turning it into a transparent liquid. With one last cry, the heavens and earth were torn apart. It's time to wake up. Yang Chuan let out a long sigh. Rumble. The dreamscape collapsed. The golden dragon grabbed the liquid form of the nightmare and rushed into Yang Chuan's body. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Mo Yushi hugged the baby and looked around in horror. As the surroundings crumbled, everything became illusory. As for the baby in her arms, it gradually faded and disappeared. No, Dong Yen, Mo Yushi screamed crazily. Buzz. The dreamscape shattered. The people in the real world woke up. Qing Long, White Tiger, and Liu Jin were standing guard outside the tent. Suddenly, they heard the sound of Jiaohu coming from inside the tent. Dong Yen, my Dong Yen. Mo Yushi's sorrowful cries came from inside the tent. The saintess is awake. Everyone's expressions changed as they rushed into the tent. There were 2 large beds in the tent. Mo Yushi's eyes were closed, and she seemed to be holding something in her hands. Saintess. Qing Long and White Tiger said anxiously. On the other side, Yang Chuan's eyes suddenly opened. Lord. Liu Jin immediately went forward. Brush. Yang Chuan said anxiously. Yes. Liu Jin quickly took out Yang Chuan's jade brush. Yang Chuan grabbed the brush, and a transparent liquid suddenly appeared in front of him. The liquid touched the brush and was immediately sucked in. After it was sucked in, the jade brush emitted a faint mist. It was dreamy and illusory. Lord, what is this? Liu Jin asked in shock. This is the dream nature obtained from refining the Nightmare Lord. With this dream nature, it will add a lot of color to this brush. This brush will be called Dream Immortal in the future, Yang Chuan said with satisfaction. On the other side. Who? Mo Yushi woke up from her dream with tears streaming down her face. Dong En. Mo Yushi woke up with a sorrowful cry. Saintess. Qing Long and White Tiger shouted. Mo Yushi was slightly stunned. A large amount of memories flooded her mind, and she remembered everything in the blink of an eye. After remembering everything, Mo Yushi stopped shouting. She took a deep breath and looked at Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan also looked at Mo Yushi. When their eyes met, their bodies froze. Although it was a dream, the couple's life was still vivid in their minds. They even gave birth to a son, Yang Dong En. Yang Chuan took a deep breath and nodded at Mo Yushi. Yang Chuan knew that a dream was just a dream. Mo Yushi could not be the same as in a dream. Seeing Yang Chuan nod, Mo Yushi's eyes became more complicated. With an indescribable emotion, she nodded at Yang Chuan. The two looked at each other awkwardly and let go of each other's gaze. Chapter 95. Holy Maiden, are you all right? Qing Long asked anxiously. Gently shaking her head, Mo Yushi said, You guys go out first. Yes. Qing Long and White Tiger replied. Go out first. Yang Chuan said to Liu Jin. Yes. Liu Jin respectfully withdrew from the tent. In the blink of an eye, only Yang Chuan and Mo Yushi were left in the tent. Mo Yushi sat up and looked at Yang Chuan with a complicated expression. She didn't know where to begin. The nightmare is gone. Are you feeling better? Yang Chuan asked softly. Taking a deep breath, Mo Yushi's face broke into a smile. Thank you, Prince Yang. Mo Yushi took several deep breaths. The cage is broken. Don't worry about Ding Wugu and the others. The inner formation isn't that easy to break. Once we leave the cage, we'll reach the deepest part of the feng shui formation, Yang Chuan said. The deepest part? Mo Yushi's expression changed. Correct. This feng shui cage is both a desperate situation and a shortcut. It's not easy to break it, but once it's broken, we'll reach the deepest part. Fortune and disaster are interdependent. Who can say for sure? Yang Chuan smiled. You know a lot. Mo Yushi blurted out. Perhaps the love in the dream had been too unforgettable. At this moment, Mo Yushi's eyes revealed a sliver of emotion that she didn't even notice. It was very faint. Neither of them noticed. Yang Chuan quietly looked at Mo Yushi for a while, then gently stood up. I'm here. I'll help you get the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. With that, Yang Chuan slowly stepped out of the tent. Mo Yushi stared at Yang Chuan's back view in a daze. The words I'm here kept echoing in her mind. Although it was just 3 words, they were heartwarming. Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan and was momentarily speechless. After Yang Chuan walked out of the tent, Mo Yushi once again took deep breaths to shake off the interference of the dream world. Yang Chuan walked out of the tent and saw 3,000 soldiers gathered outside. Lord. Hu Guang said respectfully. Lord, 8 gates have appeared in all directions. Has the cage been broken? Liu Jin asked excitedly. Qing Long and White Tiger have also gone to investigate the 8 gates. Hu Guang said from the side. Yang Chuan looked around. Indeed, there were 8 gates on the walls. Qing Long and White Tiger were investigating. How long have I been asleep? Yang Chuan turned around and looked at Liu Jin. 2 months. Luckily, Lord ate a few fasting pills before sleeping. Liu Jin said. 2 months. Then what do you eat? Yang Chuan asked curiously. Qing Long gave us the Peak Qi Jing demonic deer last time. It allowed us to hold on for a while. After that, Qing Long and White Tiger gave us 3 more demonic beasts. Although they were not as strong as the demonic deer, they were still Qi Jing demonic beasts. We owe them a lot these days, Hu Guang said excitedly. Oh. If that's the case, then your cultivation has improved. Yang Chuan's eyes lit up. Yes, my subordinates are at LV9 of the Strength Realm. 10 of them are at LV8 of the Strength Realm. The rest are at LV7 of the Strength Realm. In the entire Yang state, our protector battalion will be the best. Hu Guang said excitedly. Not far away, the 3,000 soldiers also said with admiration in their eyes. Their excitement was indescribable. Good, I am very happy, Yang Chuan said with satisfaction. But LV7 of the Strength Realm? LV8? LV9? Is it enough? I think it's still far from enough. There are still the Essence, Qi, and Immortal realms above. Do you want to follow me to the Immortals' territory? Yang Chuan looked at the Silver Armor Battalion. The Immortals' territory? Yes. The 3,000 soldiers said excitedly. Chapter 96. Alright, remember what you said. Now, I'm going to reorganize the Lord Protector Battalion, Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. Change the Lord Protector Battalion to the 1st Legion. Hu Guang will appoint the 1st Legion commander. 5 people will be a sergeant, 10 people will be a sergeant, and 100 people will be a sergeant. 1,000 people will be a sergeant. Hu Guang will choose and reorganize the Legion. Yang Chuan ordered. Yes. The 3,000 soldiers answered loudly. Changing the military system would definitely change the status of many generals in the army, causing the morale of the army to fluctuate. However, at this moment, no one objected. As Hu Guang reorganized the First Legion, Liu Jin set up a table for Yang Chuan. She took out a scroll and took out several plates of delicacies from the scroll. Lord, these are the demonic beast meat left for the Lord. The Lord hasn't eaten anything for 2 months. Please eat, Liu Jin said respectfully. Millimeter. Yang Chuan nodded. Although he had fasting pills to support him for 2 months, how could fasting pills compare to meat? Yang Chuan ate the meat while waiting for Hu Guang to reorganize the First Legion. At this moment, Mo Yu she also calmed down and walked out of the tent. She looked at Yang Chuan who was eating. Although her expression was normal, there was a complicated look in the depths of her eyes. Saintess, there are 8 entrances in the surroundings. Saintess and Prince Yang have already eliminated the incubus. Qing Long ran over and asked. Millimeter. Mo Yu she nodded. Then, which one should we enter? White Tiger asked. Mo Yu she walked in front of Yang Chuan. Prince Yang? Mo Yu she asked for help. Yang Chuan paused. It's already been 2 months. I don't mind waiting a little longer. Miss Mo, do you want to eat? We'll continue after eating. No need, we'll wait for Prince Yang. Mo Yu she shook her head. It was as if he was afraid to eat with Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan was eating the meat of a Qi Jing peak monster. There was no restraint at all. He kept eating. Liu Jin, who was standing at the side, had an indifferent expression at the beginning. However, she gradually revealed a worried expression. This Lord, even Hu Guang, who is at LV9 of the Strength Realm, wouldn't dare to eat so much. Liu Jin said worriedly. It's all right. Yang Chuan shook his head. Waves of Yuan Qi spread out in Yang Chuan's abdomen. A large amount of profound Qi flooded Yang Chuan's body. If it was someone else at LV7 of the Power Realm, they would have been bleeding from their 7 orifices. However, Yang Chuan's willpower was able to suppress the power of the primordial Qi, extracting and absorbing it continuously. Ka. Yang Chuan's body emitted a series of bone-cracking sounds. Boom. With a loud sound, Yang Chuan's body glowed with a golden light, and a gentle breeze radiated from Yang Chuan's body. Congratulations, Prince Yang, for reaching LV8 of the Strength Realm, Qing Long said in a strange tone. It was the first time that Qing Long saw someone breaking through while eating. What? You can break through while eating? Of course, even though they had never seen it happen, Qing Long and the others could understand. With such a strong willpower, breaking through while meditating was just icing on the cake. After the meat was gone, Yang Chuan exhaled a mouthful of foul air. He put down his chopsticks and looked at Hu Guang, who was not far away. Lord, the First Legion has been reorganized. Hu Guang said seriously. Good, let's get ready to go. Yang Chuan nodded. Yes. Prince Yang, which of the 8 exits should we go through? Qing Long asked. We don't need to go through the door. The nightmare is dead, and the cage is no longer protected by the dragon bloodline. We can just destroy it. Yang Chuan smiled. Huh. Qing Long was slightly surprised. Do it. Mo Yu she said. Yes. Qing Long nodded. Qing Long reached out his hand and hit a wall. Chapter 97. A cyan palm print blasted out with a loud bang. It slammed into the wall. Boom. There was a loud bang and the ground shook violently. At the place where the palm landed, rubble flew everywhere, and smoke and dust rose. Although it was hazy, they could vaguely see some flowers and trees. Did it really break? White Tiger was delighted. Boom. Boom. White Tiger also attacked in all directions. Waves of impact destroyed the surrounding walls. The roof above looked like it was about to fall, but it gradually disappeared halfway. All of the bricks in the hall had disappeared, as if they had never existed in the first place. Why is it gone? White Tiger was shocked. The feng shui array is illusory and real at the same time. When it's useful, it's real. When it's useless, it's fake. Yang Chuan explained. Feng Shui is really strange. White Tiger shook his head. Everyone looked around. It was like a forest, but the forest was surrounded by fog. They could only see 100 feet away. They couldn't see anything further. Prince Yang, where is this? Mo Yu, she asked. We're here. This is the deepest part of the Feng Shui array. It's a world that seems illusory. The 10,000 wonders demonic lotus you mentioned should be sealed somewhere here. Just look for it. Yang Chuan said softly. Okay. Mo Yu, she nodded softly. Qing Long and White Tiger looked at Mo Yu she strangely. The saint had never acted like a little girl before. Mo Yu, she seemed to have noticed her abnormality. Her face suddenly turned serious. Qing Long, White Tiger, start searching around. Yes. In the foggy forest, Yang Chuan and the others were looking for the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus. Not far from them. In a valley shrouded in fog. Snake, young Master Yang. Save me. A hoarse and unpleasant voice was heard. Boom. With a loud bang, 2 figures rushed out of the valley. The 2 figures landed on the mountain peak. It was Yang Zhigu and Ding Wugu, who was blind in one eye. The 2 of them stood on the mountain and looked at the valley. The valley was like a swamp. Originally, it was covered by a large amount of wild grass. After Yang Zhigu and Ding Wugu stirred it up, a large number of poisonous snakes suddenly swam out from the wild grass. Although the poisonous snake hadn't become a demonic beast, its colorful skin showed the intensity of its venom. Ding Wugu, it's just a bunch of poisonous snakes. What's wrong with you? You're even afraid of poisonous snakes. Yang Zhigu frowned. Ding Wujiu covered his blind eye that was oozing pus and said with grief and indignation, if it was before, I naturally wouldn't be afraid. But this eye of mine was blinded by Yang Chuan. We are Feng Shui masters, and our spiritual eyes are connected to the heart. It will take a long time for us to adapt to the blindness of one eye. Otherwise, why would I be trapped in these poisonous snakes? Oh, blindness in one eye affects you that much? Yang Zhigu asked in surprise. Ding Wujiu gritted his teeth and said, Young Master Yang, I beg of you. I've already brought you to the deepest part of this place. With Mr. Munro's ability, he will definitely be able to break the formation in the end. At that time, young Master Yang will obtain the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus and save the Saintess Yushi. That Yang Chuan will definitely come out. I only want to cut Yang Chuan into pieces to avenge my blind eye. Ding Wujiu said hatefully. You want to kill Yang Chuan? Yang Zhigu looked at Ding Wujiu. Yes, I want Yang Chuan dead. I want all 3,000 of his soldiers dead. I want revenge, Ding Wujiu said with a ferocious expression. Good. Yang Zhigu said with an evil smile. He had been unhappy with Yang Chuan for a long time. Ding Wujiu wanted to kill him, so naturally, he could do him a favor. Chapter 98. Shio. A red light shot from afar. It landed in front of Yang Zhigu. Rosefinch. You found the 10,000 wonders bewitching lotus? Yang Zhigu asked. No, not yet, but I sensed Big Brother. Qing Long and White Tiger are here too. The Saintess should be here too. Rosefinch said excitedly. Oh! Yang Zhigu raised his eyebrows. Impossible. Aren't they in the cage? Ding Wugu shouted. It's true. The 4 of us have a secret technique that allows us to sense each other in short distance. Xuanwu should be looking for the Saintess. Rosefinch shook his head. We went through a lot of trouble and broke dozens of arrays to get here. Aren't Yang Chuan and the rest in the cage? Could it be that Yang Chuan lied to me again? He lied to me again. Bastard. Ding Wugu's eyes were ferocious. Yang Zhigu's expression changed. So, Xuanwu went to find them? Yes, young Master Yang, let's meet up with the Saintess. Rosefinch said. Ding Wugu's expression flickered. He looked at the snake cave in the valley and squinted his eyes. No, let the Saintess and the rest come here. Ding Wugu said immediately. Huh? Rosefinch didn't understand. We agreed to wait here for Mr. Munro. You know Mr. Munro's ability. Maybe he already found some clues about the 10,000 Wonders bewitching lotus. It'll be bad if he can't find us. We'll wait here for Mr. Munro. You lead the Saintess here, Ding Wugu explained. After saying that, Ding Wugu gave Yang Zhiguo a look. Yang Zhigu understood and nodded. Yes, we'll wait here. Seeing that Yang Zhigu was insistent, Rosefinch could only agree. All right, young Master Yang, be careful. We'll come quickly. All right. Yang Zhigu nodded. Swish. Rosefinch took a step and shot into the distance. When Rosefinch walked away, Ding Wugu immediately bowed to Yang Zhigu. Young Master Yang, that Yang Chuan has definitely come out. I want all 3,000 of his soldiers to die from 10,000 snakes piercing their heart. Ding Wujiu pointed at the countless poisonous snakes in the valley and said with a sinister expression. 10,000 snakes piercing the heart? Yang Zhigu's expression changed. They will die in this valley. There are hundreds of thousands of poisonous snakes in this valley. Young Master Yang is a Qi Jin expert. I would like to trouble young Master Yang to set up a Qi wall around the valley to isolate the poisonous snakes. Once I lure Yang Chuan's army into the Qi wall, I will break the Qi wall and trap them in the snake cave. 10,000 snakes will pierce through their heart. Ding Wujiu said with hatred. Yang Chuan was on a hill. Xuanwu and Rosefinch suddenly came in front of Mo Yushi. Xuanwu, Rosefinch, it really is you, Qing Long said with a smile. Saint, big brother, second brother, the two were also delighted. When did you get here? Mo Yushi asked anxiously. Just yesterday. We just entered this place. Mr. Munro said that this should be the deepest part of the valley. The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus should be here. Rosefinch immediately said. So, did you find the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus? Mo Yushi asked worriedly. Not yet. We were searching in different directions when we suddenly sensed Big Brother's presence and came here. Xuanwu said. That's good. Mo Yushi let out a long sigh. Young Master Yang is waiting for Mr. Munro over there. He asked me to bring the saint to meet up with him, Rosefinch said. Meet up? That's good. Mo Yushi showed a trace of confidence. Since they did not find the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus, Mo Yushi still had a chance to obtain it. Prince Yang? Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan. That's good. Lead the way. Yang Chuan smiled. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.